Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Pocono Raceway for round three of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Champion. I'm Mark Johansson, and I'm joined here tonight in the commentary booth with Carl and both JP. Good evening to you both.
Good evening, Mark. Good evening, JP. And good evening, everybody. Yes, we are here at the Tricky Triangle, Pocono itself, a track that is either loved or detested by the drivers. It should make for one interesting race here tonight.
Most certainly will. This is very, very different to any other track that we run on through the season, as it's very flat and no corner is the same and no straight is the same. So it will turn out with some interesting racing.
Very much so. Look, Pocono is one of those tracks that is it looks very simple and deceptive when you look at it from this picture. You're looking at the actual track itself there. But when you're going down the front straight, into turn one, along the Long Pond Straight, the tunnel curve up the top of that picture, down towards the North Straight, and the big bend at the final section back onto the front straight again. You have to drive the car differently all across those corners. Tunnel corner is one to watch out for, the middle section of the triangle. That is where we're probably going to see most of the accidents, as the cars tend to get a little bit loose there, as there's a bit of a bump from years of resurfacing, and the tunnel itself causes a little bit of problem for these cars sometimes. So expect to see what's classified as turn two to be the big problem area.
Yeah, that's right, Carl. And also, if you get down too low on that tunnel curve, there's a one hell of a ripple strip that'll turn you around too.
Yeah, absolutely. You sort of as a from a road car side of things, you look down at the curbs and you go, "Oh yeah, I'll just clip that curve nicely, just get that beautiful apex." When you actually get on track here, no, you don't want to do that. You want to avoid that curb like the plague itself because it will absolutely murder you.
Most definitely. Just quick recap in the final couple of minutes of practice here. We've got Andrew Dyson on top of the table with a 54.3, and Devon Stowe in second with a 54.4, and Daniel Edenchild with a 54.4, and then Ed Foster with a 54.5. So they are very close in the practice. So it's going to be interesting to see what qualifying brings out.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, these guys are going to be trying to practice those qualifying runs a little bit. Of course, when qualifying comes, there won't be any other cars out there, so some of these times might be affected a little bit by the draft. Of course, this is it's about as close to a super speedway as you can get, really. It's not a super speedway. It's a very fast track here at Pocono, and that sitting in behind another car is going to help you out with that top speed on those big long straights. So that can affect the times a little bit here. But when you get to practice, of course, when you get to qualifying, of course, no help from other cars out there. You're on your own. So you kind of want to get a practice run in of just running by yourself just to get an idea of how it feels so you don't get that draft affected lap.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll give a quick rundown. The cars are set up all exactly the same. This is a fixed racing league, so everyone has the same setup in their car. So it, it comes down to driver ability, and with these types of tracks, sometimes luck, Carl.
Yeah, that's one of the big things. Is it is you can say luck, but you do make your own luck sometimes in racing. I mean, you've got to keep an eye on front of you, but you will have a car maybe go off in front of you, and that could cause that big accident that you get caught up in. So it's all about situational awareness, keeping in the right place at the right time, and that could be the thing that pays off tonight. Obviously, keeping at the front of the field, less chance of getting caught up in an accident. Going down the back of the field, more chance of getting caught up in accidents. So these are all things that can absolutely change it up. But we do move into qualifying now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on that. I'm going to put my money on Mr. Dyson to get pole tonight.
Yeah, I think Dyson is going to be really, really tough to beat tonight. Definitely one of those drivers that has got some serious speed underneath him, but also really, really good ability on tyre wear. and keeping the car straight. Don't discount people like Edward Foster in the 53. He is he's well, he's in the lead of the championship at the moment for a reason, because he has been very, very dominant, of course, just taking a victory already in the season. So, he's one of those drivers that is going to be very, very quick. Other drivers to keep an eye out for, people like Michael Skurlock, we know that they're quick. Daniel Hederscheid as well is a newcomer, one of the rookies to the oval section, but very, very fast. Don't discount people like Ruben Phelps. He is one of those drivers that is incredibly quick and very good at working his way through a field and keeping tyres alive, which could be a vital part in the run here at Pocono.
Yeah, definitely. And the other one that we have yet to see a real punch thrown from is Darren, our current champion. He's not had a very good start to the season. I think by memory he's down in about 15th in the points at the moment, but early stage of the championship, so we may get some punches thrown tonight from him.
Yeah, that's it. Really rough start to the season. I mean, I think down in just looking at championship down in P8 at the moment, so it could be a bit worse. But it has been a really rough start for Darren McKenzie, and he's had some unlucky incidents. I remember last week seeing him get caught up very early on in an accident, unfortunately, and just struggling to get that car around. But he kept it going for the race, and that's one of the important things, not giving up. So we are starting to see the cars get out on those fast laps now, starting to set some times. Andrew Dyson jumping to the top of the leaderboard with a 54.5, pretty much flat at the moment. A good 10th of a second faster than Aidan Schultz in second at the moment. Very quick lap there from Dyson.
Yeah, very, very quick. And Dave Douglas up there in the top 5. Stevie Williams up into the top 10, and the quiet man of the elder statesman Norman Clark there in ninth. So it's a very, very tough top 10 there at the moment.
Yeah, it's really looking good out there at the moment. And look, as these drivers start to put through their laps, Foster coming across for his second lap gets it up to P2 there. Dyson's clipped the wall, so he's absolutely not going to be getting another lap in. So that first lap was his fast lap. That second lap, he pushed a bit too hard, damaged the front of that DPR. Quite a few drivers with wrinkles on their car. I'm actually looking at Raymond Yeager as well. One of those drivers that is very quick, but he's just got caught out in turn one on his second flying lap and got a big amount of damage on that car. Dave Douglas here trying to get his second lap in. How will this one go? Will it be faster? Struggling to get the power down, it feels like. And I think that lap is aborted from Douglas. So does not sound like he's pushing it at the moment.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Carl, I hope Dave has a better night than Thursday night. He got punched from pillar to post there at Phoenix in the Ann's car round. So let's hope he has a better night tonight with us.
I don't think you're going to have much of a worse night unless you get rolled on. If you end up on your lid on turn one, I think that's possibly the only case that could be worse. But yeah, it's been a rough one for him. Brad Fenley out there at the moment in I'd say not everybody's favourite colour scheme, the Victoria Bitter car. Everybody's favourite drink of choice. Other beers are available. But Fenley's been quite quick in some of the series, and it's been good to see him come in, a newcomer to all of the leagues. And he's been having some very good runs. Just looking through a couple of the others that are late to go out at the moment, as Fenley jumps up into. Oh, no, it's not jumped up yet, sorry. But yeah, looking through the field, it's looking pretty interesting at the moment. As I say, Dyson's still up there on that first lap run. Very good pace from him. I watched him actually on his out lap, and he was going incredibly slow, and just keeping that car, those tyres cool, I think, and that might be key to that fast lap. But qualifying is over and done with as we get ready for the race.
Yeah. We might take a look at some track notes there, Carl, while we've waiting for the guys to grid up. So we're Pocono Raceway tonight, which is in the Pocono Mountains at Pennsylvania. The track is 2.5 miles long. We have 120 laps for a race distance of 300 miles. Pit lane speed is 50 mile an hour. Fuel is unrestricted, so they carry the full 20 gallons of fuel in the car. Fuel burn is 0.564 gallons a lap. Pit stops should see 3 to 4, maybe close to the 3 if people can look after some fuel. 5 sets of tyres. Unfortunately, we've moved the date further on in the year to the 22nd of October, because if we used the weather there today, it would be snowing. Race start is at 2:35. Air temp is 80. Track temp is 86, and only a slight wind from at 3 mile an hour from the west. I'll let you run through this first half, Carl.
So let's run through the starting order. So first row of the grid, we've got Andrew Dyson taking pole, Foster on his outside. Second row is Douglas and Stove. Third row, we have Schultz and Mackenzie. Fourth row is Phelps and Clark. Fifth row, we have May and Witcher. Sixth row is Raymond Yeager. Carl Neaver and Raymond Yeager. Seventh row, we have Spencer and Mankervis. Eighth row, we have Williams and Farewell. Ninth row is Heddershide and Koch. 10th row is De Graaf and Van Billion.
Rolling over, we have Dylan Davis in 25th, 26th, Nigel Payton, Kobe Jordan, Stuart Patterson, Gary Willman, Justin Allen, Scott McClintock. He's the one to look out for tonight. Michael Skurlock, Brad Finley, Matt Patton, father and son in there. And of course, I'm not taking the field. So to round out the 36 is Brett Campbell. And
not deciding to drive tonight, Mark, and commentate. It's a little bit tricky sometimes, and appreciate you being up here at the booth tonight. Very much appreciated having you fully up here as well. So what are we expecting tonight, Mark? Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a fuel race with those tyre limits in there as well. 5 sets of tyres for tonight. So obviously, you start off on the first set, so you've got 4 more to go for the race. That could make a bit of difference for some of these drivers too.
Yeah, look, we've done that to try and settle people down a little bit. But look, you probably want to get a run and a half out of your first tyre set just to play it safe, because everyone's still learning with the way these tyres are going to wear on race surfaces at the moment.
Yeah, look, these new cars are very different, and Pocono is one of those tracks where it does tend to be, tyre wear can really come into play a little bit further on in the stints. Fuel saving is going to be a tricky one, but it's going to be one of those races where I think people that are a little bit softer on tyres and fuel, it's going to pay off well as the pace car turn 3 and 4 for the final first time tonight, as we get ready to go green here for round 3 of the Weekend Warriors Custom Paints and Diecast.
And we're green, and Ed gets a great jump there on the outside line. And Dyson will probably slip. No, Dyson's got a good run on the inside. Reese May, great run up the inside into turn 1.
We are 3 wide behind. It is Douglas, Stove, Schultz 3 wide at the moment. They're starting to settle in a bit, but further back we've got cars 3-4 wide through the corners as they roar.
We've got one around.
I can see Justin Witcher involved in that one. Justin Witcher getting tagged by the Carl Neaver there. Neaver going into Norman Clark. So we'll get the replay of this one. And up into Clark, and then a big accident and a lot of cars caught in that. And that's what I was talking about earlier, is sometimes it's you want to try and qualify well, because if a big accident like that happens early on, you're going to get damage. And that's taken out a good, I'd probably say about 10 cars there.
Yeah, it's not the way you want to start the race. And we'll go back and look at that post-race and, see what actually happened and who tagged who. But there's definitely a nice smoker down there on the running around the infield.
Gary Wellman there with his engine absolutely gone, unfortunately. That is his race run. I saw Jai Schultz as well. The front end of his car is completely MIA. I think Ruben Phelps got caught up heavily in that one as well, unfortunately. And Nankervis, Koch, and Miller as well. Oh, it is a. We've got Patton in the pit lane, so pretty much we've got Farewell as well. So a lot of cars there caught up in that, having to come in. Adam Ariel looking a little bit worse for wear as well. So that is really disappointing for a lot of those drivers.
I'll just duck down and see if I can grab Ruben and see if he can make a comment, mate.
Yeah, well, it's it was a big accident there, as we say, and that's taken out a lot of fast cars. And it is really unfortunate to happen this early in the race. Obviously, a few cars getting a little bit luckier than others, thankfully, but it was a very hard incident to miss. That means that Foster will now take the lead for the restart. So he is going to be in the lead for this restart. So we'll get almost a mirror of that start from the previous. Dyson on the outside, and we'll see how this one lines up as a few people are going to come into pit lane, possibly just top up the tanks a little bit.
Okay, Carl, we've got Ruben here. You got a copy there, Ruben?
I sure do. How's it going?
Yeah, good, mate. Not a way you want to start Pocono?
No, it was a couple of, as per usual at Pocono, desperate moves on lap 1. So I saw Reese or that trying to make a 5 or 4 or 5 wide at the start. So I backed out of it, and then it gave me a lot of slowdown. So all the guys behind tried to jump that situation. One guy on the bottom pushed up, bumped me, and then it continued on to the exit of turn 2, and then another two cars collided and came across me. Thankfully, I didn't get too much damage, and there was a few bumps, but I wasn't involved in the main incident, so hoping my car's okay.
All right, so you should be right to keep going tonight then?
Yep, no, I'm all good to go, but man, that was a big wreck.
Yeah, definitely didn't look very friendly up here. Anything you want to ask, Carl?
Oh, look, it's just the main thing of, good avoidance there. I mean, you've got a little bit of damage. Hopefully, that's not going to be too effective. Obviously, a little bit of front damage here at Pocono can be quite detrimental. Do you think that's going to affect your race so much?
Yeah, I think with a little bit of damage, I think I'm going to just have to manage what I've got, but if those wrecks keep happening, then I'll have a better shot anyway, so we'll be equal at some point if this keeps up.
Good luck for the rest of the race. Hopefully, the damage to the right front doesn't affect you too much.
Yeah, no, cheers.
Yeah, thanks for talking to us, Ruben. Well, we'll let you go and get back into it. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of damage there to the rear, of course, which is not going to affect you too much. But the main thing you've got to you worry about when you get damage is on the front, because that tends to slow the car down an enormous amount. Although these are not hugely aero-focused cars, any damage to the front tend to make it act a bit like a parachute sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And here you definitely need that aero package a little bit better than last week at where were we last week? Kansas or yes, Las Vegas. That's right.
Yep.
So yeah, you definitely need more aero here.
Although for half of the race, I thought we were at Texas. I completely forgot we were at Las Vegas, and I was driving it like we were at Texas, and that caused me a couple of issues in the early stages of that race. But I won't say any more about that one. So we line up side by side for the restart. Pace lights are out once more. As we say, a bit of a mirror to the start of the race. It's the 53 on the inside, the 041 of Dyson on the outside. Who is going to get the better jump here? Watch out for Dave Douglas behind. We saw him having a lightning quick start as well. So he's going to be really pushing his way up there. Aiden Schultz, we know, can be very quick as well as the lights go out. And Devon Stove slotting himself in nicely up there in the top 4 as well. Pretty much all as they started other than the front 2. Darren McKenzie, he's going to be sitting there hoping for a nice restart to keep out of trouble as well, so he can get his championship hopes back for the season as we go across the bridge down towards the final corner to get back on the start-finish straight. We are going to go back to green flag racing here.
Yeah, now in the past we've seen Ed go early, so I'm just wondering whether he might play chicken and hold that field back.
Yeah, it's always the strategic part of this sort of racing is where you drop the loud pedal on a restart. And you want to try and catch that driver on the outside out. We're soon going to find out as the pace car comes in. Let's listen to these cars roar off.
Someone touched the fence there. That was a nasty bump.
Reese May there getting up into the wall as they just came off the corner of the tunnel, almost catching Aiden Schultz there. Good restart though from Foster. He has got away like a scalded cat at the moment. You can see how close he is to that wall, trying to get that little bit of draft action you get from running close to the wall like that. It just helps add a little bit of extra speed there. Michael Skurlock moving his way down a little bit further in the pack, trying to get past Brad Fenley. So a few cars moving their way up, but it is kind of single file at the front, although Devon Stove is trying his best to make that not so as he tries to get past Dave Douglas.
Yeah, Dave will make that car a little bit wide, although you can't make the car too wide just yet. You can't actually block race at the moment. You've got to wait for the last 20 laps. I think Reese May's carrying a little bit of damage. I don't know if we can get a shot of his car, JP. It looks like he's dropping back fairly quickly there. So that bump must have really hurt him.
Quite a lot of damage on the right front of that car. Oh, who is that behind just then?
Dion DeGraff.
Big hit into the wall, and that's had a huge check-up behind as well. Good job of avoiding that for the drivers behind. That is not a fun feeling. It is never nice clipping the wall like that, and sends a big shock through your steering wheel. These things, when you've got the force feedback on there, it really can give you a bit of a shocker. Somebody have a big moment over the tunnel again. Just go back.
It was Reese again, mate.
Dion DeGraff actually. DeGraff actually got fully sideways a little bit further back from May. May had a moment as well. DeGraff was drifting over the corner through turn one. Managed just to save that, but he's falling back and plummeting like a stone in water at the moment.
Some great shots there on board Dyson. Given Ed a few little love taps to say, hey mate, I'm here, keep it straight, and yeah, let's go racing.
Yeah, these two know each other quite well, raced each other many times, and Dyson is really starting to push Foster along. Foster in the lead at the moment. Dyson's probably going to be sitting there, and no, it's not a bad place to sit for fuel conservation, just behind a fast car in front of you. You can see we've got 5 cars lined up, line adrift at the moment. Aiden Schultz just at the back of this train, and they've got a nice breakaway to Darren McKenzie in 6th, who has Michael Skurlock chasing him. I was actually looking at Skurlock's car thinking there was damage to the front, but no, that's just his face on the front of the car. So no damage to that one. It just looks like there may have been.
I wouldn't say there's no damage with a face like that. Got the chopper read thing happening.
Yeah, I think it's because of the colour scheme. It looked wrinkled, and it took me a good couple of minutes to sort of check it out, being like, I don't think so. But yeah, so it probably would look better wrinkled up anyway. As Foster remains in the lead, Dyson is trying to put some pressure on. Douglas is trying to put some pressure on Dyson at the moment, seeing what he can do. And you see Schultz there as well, side by side with Stove for a couple of moments as well, as the drivers with damage start to work their way back through the field as well. Just getting used to how this car handles, and that's one of the tricky parts now, is working out what's going to be working properly with the car, because you sort of find that you just have to drive the car a little bit differently when you've got damage, especially when it's front aero. You can't push as hard through some of the corners, and you sort of have to change your lift-off point or your braking areas, and it can throw you out very early on in the race.
Most definitely, and if you got damage, you want to stick, especially with these long straights, you want to get right up behind the guy in front of you, so you can get a good windbreak.
Bit of the old bump drafting action almost, and yeah, it does make a huge difference, helping your speed out in that respect. But one of the things you have to be careful of is, Devon Stowe going a bit wide there through the final corner of turn 4. Just manages to hold it back very, very close to the wall. Amy will probably have to just lift off momentarily as Dyson gets a good run here. One of the big things you have to watch out for when you've got damage to the front as well is if you've got damage to that radiator, that can cause issues if you're trying to follow the car in front of you, as Dyson takes the lead.
Yeah, great move, good setup for that pass there, but it's not going to give it away like laying down. He's got a good run again out of turn 2, and he may take the lead back. So this is what we want to see, some good Dyson at the front.
As Aidan Schultz makes a move on Devon Stowe just behind as well. There's action all throughout the pack as ever. It's just knowing where to look at the right time is the hard thing for us. Dyson again getting a good run. Foster coming down to cut that off, and that's giving Schultz a good run on Dave Douglas, as Dyson just have to lift off a little bit. Douglas had to ease off a little bit on that high line. That's giving Schultz the run up into P3 at the moment. Dyson's going to get a really good run along here. Bump drafting Foster down the front straight here into the first corner, just easing off a little bit as they get into the corner, so not to unsettle the car. That will have helped their speed, but I think they're trying to break away from the rest of the pack because they do not want any part of the action behind them. Meanwhile, people like Skurlock and Mackenzie have caught up to this battle now. So the front line is growing. Huddersfield, the final car in the pack, 8 strong now at the front. And you can see Schultz making another passing opportunity here as he gets past Dyson into second place. Schultz on an absolute flyer now, working his way up through the pack. About 1 or 2 laps ago, he was down in 5th place. Now he is up into second, and that's just how quick it can change on an oval, ladies and gentlemen. It is a thing of being in the right place at the right time, but getting those runs at the right moment as Schultz takes the lead of the race, getting in front of Foster, the 52 in front of the 53.
And Skurlock's making another good run on Devon Stowe, but Devon's fighting back on the outside.
Yeah, he's really chopping and changing, as the moustache sort of says, but yeah, he's really trying to push along Skurlock and get up into this battle. Douglas just sitting there behind Dyson at the moment. It looks like he's struggling at this phase of the race just a tiny bit, maybe just easing off a tiny bit as the fight goes around him for the lead of the race, not wanting to get too close to this action as Foster takes back the lead through turn 4, and down the front straight he comes to have another lap led by Edward Foster.
This is a great battle for the lead by these 3 at the front. Aiden's just got to be wary that he doesn't run those tyres out too quick, because even though we're not on a high bank track, these things will still snap very easily and turn to the right.
Pocono notoriously tricky, of course. Even in all Schultz, it's very close to the wall there. Even in last gen's car, it was a track that was always one that could catch you out by surprise. And in these new Cup cars, which are a little bit more nervous than the old generation, definitely something to watch out for. But right now, the tyres have sort of come into temperature. You're in that stage where those tyres actually start working for you. The only thing you've really got to watch out for is just getting the tyres too hot now, or them running down in the wear factor, as you said. And that's where it can really come in. Dyson blocked there, can't get past Aidan Schultz or Edward Foster. Tries to get the run, but could not get through there. Dyson now is going to be very close to falling victim to Devon Stowe and Darren Mackenzie, of course, reigning champion in the number 1, working his way nicely through the field, getting towards the front of this pack.
I'll tell you what, if you get a shot behind them, there's a big group closing in on these guys too. So this lead pack may become very, very big very soon.
Yeah, about a 3-second gap now between Pritchard and Douglas. So these guys, if they work together, they can catch up to the front pack quite quickly. But the big thing is if they work together, and it doesn't look like this is that they are. They're sort of fighting it out at the moment, all a little bit higgledy-piggledy, while the front of the pack is nice and in a line and sort of pulling each other along, setting some good times at the moment. And that will affect that pack behind. If they can actually start working together or have this front pack really start to battle, they will start to close in. But as it stands, they are going to struggle a little bit. Dave Douglas falling off the back of the main pack a little bit. So Douglas has sort of gone from sort of third and fourth all the way down to sort of eighth position now. So Douglas falling down a little bit. But he might just be easing off, just not wanting to push too hard, trying to save a couple of little drops of fuel in there to see if he can go a little bit longer than some of the other drivers around him.
Yeah, definitely. Just to let people know, in that second group, that's 3 seconds behind. It's Tom Pritchard, Greg Spencer, Norman Clark, Brad Finley, Ruben Phelps, and Gary Willman.
Stevie Dub.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. I'm on the blimps. So if they can really start with their team rivalry behind them and work together, they will catch these guys in a matter of, I'd say, 10 laps. But yeah.
Yeah, as it stands, they're just not able to keep pace, and that is the thing that's going to make a difference. They just need to start really working with each other and not against each other, and that's the issue. Is you've got people that are very racy in that pack who want to race each other, obviously, but that is going to just start costing you time hand over fist. And if they just get on the comms with each other and just start saying, look, if we start working together, we're going to catch this front pack quickly because they're still battling. We're losing a good couple of attempts every lap with this fighting. We work together, we'll catch up to this front pack and we could get the win of this race. But instead they're squabbling, which is not helping their battle. So they just need to settle it down a bit.
The race, I think someone must have the commentary on in the car, because as soon as you said that, Carl, the race radio lit up with 2 or 3 guys coming on. Come on, guys, we need to work together to catch his front pack. So I think they've got instead of us tuning into them, they're tuning into us.
Oh, if they're listening to my strategy, that's not a great thing to do. Those poor buggers. But
well, let's jump on board with Dyso and let's rank up the volume for a lap.
we have a big moment as Darren McKenzie gets turned there. Darren McKenzie and Devon Stove go into each other, and Devon Stove gets the worst of that, getting turned around into the wall. A huge accident there for Devon Stove. Those two just making contact at the worst possible point, and it just pivots Stove around. and heavily into the wall. Nose first, go Stove. That is going to hurt.
Yeah, definitely not a place where you want to hit the outside wall.
No, so just watching on board with this one here with Mackenzie, and so we'll just see what happens here. So it looks like he goes out, possibly little bit of the old net code / situation there, but just gets up beside him, and then that little tiny bit of contact unsettles the rear of Stove's car. We've seen this with these cars. As soon as that back end gets a little bit light, these cars will go around, and that rear diffuser, it makes a difference for the driving, but as soon as it gets unsettled, these things spin so easily.
That is a big hit.
Yeah, it's really, really going to hurt, and that is unfortunately going to really cost Stove dearly, I think. And he might get lucky, but it does look like that took a full brunt on the left front, and obviously that's sort of the area where you have some cooling on the car. That's going to affect the engine. If you're down on horsepower right now, that is going to be a huge, huge part of this race. Will we see everybody coming into pit lane? I imagine so. It is lap 21 of 120, so it will be pit time for these drivers, I would say, as they will have started to have been pondering about fuel. We imagine, as we say, about 36 laps of fuel tonight for these drivers, so they'll be coming in, getting pretty much a freebie pit stop under yellow, but you got to make it right in pit lane. And we've seen every time this season, we've seen drivers miss their pit boxes because they come in a little bit too hot, don't warm up those brakes enough, and just overshoot their pit marker. Will we see that again tonight? As the leaders roll down pit lane, a long, long way down to the end for Foster and Dyson, as they qualified up at the front of the field. They come into their pit boxes. Foster trying to make his marks. Does he do it? Yes, he does. Perfect stop for Foster. Perfect stop for Dyson. They all look to have made their marks nicely there. Who's going to get off pit lane first out of this group? Will it be Foster? Will it be Dyson? Will it be somebody like Douglas? All going to find out shortly. They go down, away they go, wheels spinning. Foster just tries to. Dyson just nips it at the bud there. Dyson getting out in the lead.
Yeah, definitely a good race off pit lane there. But now what's going to happen here? It's going to close the entire field up again, and things change once you get fresh tyres on. With the car, the way the car feels, and again you got a full tank of fuel.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race off pit lane there. Not much time difference between the drivers in their pit boxes, but a couple of milliseconds between Foster and Dyson made the difference there. Dyson also, being the fact he qualified in, he was ahead of Foster in pit lane, of course, when it's all done by qualifying positions. So if you qualify on pole position, you get the last pit box effectively. It gave Dyson a nice clean run out of pit lane. Foster had to turn his car a little bit more, so he had to avoid Dyson's back, and that cost him the lead of the race.
Yeah, definitely. Did these guys pit at the front? No. Well, this is going to hurt these guys here, because they're not going to have a lot of fuel in the tank.
I think Justin Allen is the only driver that stayed out there, and he's sticking it out there for a possible a secondary caution. So he's rolling the dice a little bit here. Obviously on tyres that have done 22 laps now, and a little bit of damage on the front of that car as well. That is going to be, that could be interesting, and that's going to hurt Foster, I would say. Dyson is going to be rubbing his hands and licking his lips right now because he is going to be able to get a nice launch there. Foster is going to be sort of almost, I don't like to use the term stuck behind a slower car because, all these drivers are very fast, but obviously with the tyres doing 23 odd laps, they're not going to be as good as the fresh tyres. The only advantage you really get is the tyres will be quicker up to temperature. They'll be a bit warmer, so it might help a little bit. But you've got to see also there's a bit of damage on the front of that car as well. This could be a very interesting restart. We'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like to be out there in the lead. With with worn tyres, 23 lap old tyres, it's going to be fun, to say the least. The lights are out in the pace car, so we'll get a start this time round.
So we line up side by side here, and yeah, Gal Foster just pointing out Ed Foster's time a little bit slower in pit lane there on YouTube, and yeah, he was about 5 tenths slower. So just a little bit slower in pit lane. Pace car goes in. Justin Allen's going to lead away in a 0.88. Gets his foot down nice and quickly. Going to get up to speed here as we go back to green flag racing at Pocono. Gets a nice launch off. Those old tyres actually not doing too badly on that restart. Good start there, but as soon as they get to the corner, you can see there Dyson just sailing his way through underneath on the low line, and we are back as Dyson loses the rear end off the corner as Allen gets into the wall. They just get through, but that was very close as we got a caution.
Yeah, run the caution again.
Reese May caught up in that one as well as a few others, so I'm just going back to have a little look at this restart. It looks like there was possibly a bit of a checkup in front of him. As I think there was a bit of a checkup further down the field, just looking at this, and yeah, very messy restart down the back. Oh, who was that on the outside? Matt Patton, unfortunately, I think he was completely in the wrong gear or missed a gear possibly on that restart and caused a huge checkup behind him. And that's caused a whole mess of things down the back straight, down the front straight even, as cars have sort of gone into avoidance mode. And then there's sort of been an accident in turn one somewhere. As just having a look through that. So there was the main spin was the 20 of Dion de Graaf and the 65 of Jared Farewell. Jared Farewell on the inside line. Just gets up into de Graaf and around he goes.
Unfortunately there for de Graaf, and I think Jarrett was a lap down too, so unfortunate for Dion. I don't know if he's back in the pits or just go through.
I think he's still out. He's still out on the track, so he's still keeping out there on track at the moment. The 20 is still going there. This has given Justin Allen the chance to get into pit lane and get his service done. So this has kind of worked out for his strategy. He's now got a couple of laps over the leaders. He'll have slightly more fuel over the rest of the field. So this could pay off for him later in this race. And that's kind of what he was hoping for, I imagine. Obviously, knew he wasn't going to be able to lead this race where he was sitting, but was hoping for a caution on the restart to give him the chance. So Scotty McClintock, de Graaf has come into pit lane. Justin Allen as well coming in this time round. Surprised to see a few more not coming in just for a quick top up of fuel, though.
Yeah, well, I probably would have come in myself, but I'm pretty sure you probably would have too, Carl. Just to top that tank off, sit on that set of tyres again, and yeah, get a longer run.
Yeah, you know my strategies too well of just trying to avoid incidents and just keep as much fuel in the car as possible. But yeah, it is one of those strategies that can pay off for you if you just work it out right. I mean, track position can be key, so there are a few people that are banking on having good track position. Obviously, the higher up the field you are, the less chance of getting caught in an accident. Coming into pit lane does mean you start towards the back of the pack, so that can sometimes be a reason to stick it out there.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just go, it's JP. I don't know if you can get a shot of Jaden Schultz's car, but that is one second-hand looking car. He's got No, Jade Schultz, 27. It is one second-hand car, that 27 car.
We get to see the internals of this new Cup car. We can see the fuel cell at the rear. We can see the engine at the front. It's a good X-ray of the car. Probably not what you want to have for racing, though.
No, definitely. If that was me, I'd probably what lap are we on?
About 27.
27. So if that was me, I'd be getting to my lap 30 to the 25% of the race, and then see you later, had night over.
Yeah. When you're missing that much of your car, we have seen in the past, though. I mean, it's not over until it's over. You never know what can happen in motorsport. Currently, still on the lead lap. So, still on the lead lap. That is one of the. I think that's one of the main things that's keeping Jay out there at the moment, is the fact on the lead lap. So, there could be some much more unfortunate people out there than yourself, and you could find yourself working your way up into the top 20 at least. So, as long as you don't get in people's way with a damaged car like that, it's just painful to drive though. It's not a fun experience having to limp around in basically what's testament to just a roll cage with an engine on the front of it.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to go back green this time round. So Andrew Dyson, I'll say he'll go early.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. I mean, obviously, long straight here at Pocono, so sometimes going a bit later can pay off because you can catch people off guard and they don't get that draft. Dyson's waiting, goes at just the entrance to pit lane, gets a good jump over Hedesheed behind him. Foster in second, falls back a little bit. You can see Dyson moving up to the top of the track to get the best turn in he can for that first set of corners. But you can see now shuffling their way through the pack. Aiden Schultz on the outside as well, trying to work his way up and keep himself between Foster and Hedesheed.
Great run, great start there by the two teammates. Getting the first and second.
Yeah, Schultz is definitely trying to keep the teammates apart, and that's not a bad strategy because if those two lock up, they could very easily have a bit of a run. A little bit further back, Stevie Dub, Steve Williams having a big moment as somebody's had a huge crash at the back. Justin Allen, cold tyres through over the tunnel, catches him out, and that is probably almost a race over for him as he gets a huge amount of damage to the front end of that car. That engine will be... well, it'll be worse than second hand. I think it'll be about seventh hand by now.
Further back in the pack, there is some really second-hand cars. I don't know how some of them are still out there, but it's a great race up the front here at the moment. I think we'll find a group of about 5 or 6 will break away here and really start to work together and get a gap on the second.
Yeah, I think... who's that?
Reese May again.
Big hit there. That was serious speed. The Mayhem Motorsports car is... well, we talk about second hand. I think that's now in the triple digits for hands. I think that might be a race over. It's a huge moment. Big accident! Big accident. Fenley down the front straight. I just was watching from Fenley's perspective as he had a car go across him. So he gets tagged a little bit earlier on. So this is a big accident actually happening out of the corner. So there was a bit of contact between Spencer Finley and Ruben Phelps, I think. So Ruben Phelps had a checkup, went into Spencer, went up into Fenley, and then somebody in front of him had a huge moment. I think it was Adam Malone. I saw possibly getting pinged off or something like that. Yeah, Malone, was it? No, it was another one of those cars.
I think it was
Tom Pritchard. Yeah, so Tom Pritchard as well. Tom Pritchard went spearing across as he got caught by Devon Stove, and then that caused an even bigger accident behind. Jared Farrell on his roof, unfortunately, so he ended up turtle as he got a really big smack up the rear, and that's going to definitely be a race over for that car.
Yeah, definitely.
Almost too much to go through in that accident, unfortunately. There was so much going on there. But yeah, a lot of cars caught up in that, and it was a big hit for many of them as well. That was a nasty, nasty wreck there. And that one is going to hurt a few people. Hopefully Jared Farwell's not using VR, because if he was, he would probably be feeling a little bit worse for wear right now. As we say, it's one of the things with sim racing is, you're a lot less at risk of getting injured or nasty things happening. But if you race in VR, for instance, or if you've got a very strong direct drive wheel, when you get the snap of the wheel happening from nowhere, you sometimes get the odd finger or thumb caught. We've seen a couple of drivers this season actually break a thumb. And if you're racing in VR, when you roll over like that, it can really make you quite sick. So yeah, not a fun experience to have.
No, definitely not. And talking of injuries, Brad Allison copped an injury there with the Ants car Daytona. He's been running the last couple of weeks with his wrist strapped because of the good jar. I know he's using the Fenatech direct drive, so you know you can get some nasty injuries from these guys. Unfortunately, Brad's got family commitment tonight, and he's had to miss tonight's race, and so he's not having a good start to the season either. He didn't get any points from last week. He was involved in a turn one lap one incident last week.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the things I say people tend to forget about sim racing. It's it's not nearly as dangerous as full throttle, full metal racing, but when a big accident happens, it can really seriously cause some pain. I mean, it's not it's not the safest of activities and hobbies to have. It's not quite as dangerous as a full metal one, but it is still dangerous. So Matt Patton, Jamie Nankervis, Patton, McClintock, Jay Schultz, and Justin Allen all in pit lane, as well as Reese May. So quite a few people in pit lane. A few of those I think might not be coming out, unfortunately. They're getting some major repairs done as the virtual pit crew get hard work with the old super glue and duct tape. The e-tape, I should say, because yeah, I think a few of those cars will need a couple of rolls of that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I just want to make a quick shout out to Maddie Davis. Speaking of real car racing, he's running in the Victorian state title this weekend for his Speedway. I think he runs stock cars in the Speedway. So, from everyone here at Weekend Warriors, mate, good luck with that. And we hope you come back with the number one on the car for Victoria.
Yeah, look, that's really exciting. Mr. Andrew Dyson showing off as he types with one hand, drives with another, saying hello to us in the YouTube chat. Hello, Andrew Dyson. Good to see you concentrating hard as you drive out there. Of course, a big thank you to all the viewers tonight. We love hearing from you. Keeping an eye on the old chat channels as we can. As we always do, just trying to keep an eye out for things. But yeah, it's great to hear that. It's great to hear some of the community getting up into those big leagues and getting into these races, because it's so nice when we get someone from our community having a good run like that, because it just makes you feel good, and it gives you that little bit of hope and pride.
Yeah, definitely. All right, time for a bit of trivia.
Oh, this is always the fearsome bit. Yep. Okay, Mark.
All right, no cheating. Quick one before we go. Who's had the most wins here?
I'm gonna go Jeff Gordon.
Yes, Jeff Gordon and Denny Hamlin, both with 6 wins each. So that's a good win rate ratio here.
I'm channeling my Daddy G knowledge there. So Daniel Greskowitz is one of the biggest Gordon fans I know of. But yeah, I'm glad I got that one. As I say, I'm not great on the stock car trivia. It's probably one of my weaker stints. Single seater knowledge is my strong point. So I'm always happy when I get those right.
Yeah, definitely. All right, one for the race fans out there. And fans, no Googling, no cheating or anything. who's completed the most laps, and give us a rough number on what you think people have the driver has completed. We'll give you 10 minutes, I'd say.
I think I got a feeling I know this one as well, actually. So,
and we know JP won't be cheating on it because he's too busy with the cameras.
exactly. He needs an extra pair of hands to cheat in this situation as we get ready to go green once more. Dyson leading away now. Foster just behind him. Dyson jumps a little bit later, saves it for halfway down the pit straight. Skurlock missing a gear, I think, just in the wrong gear. Very sluggish start behind, and that's caused a big checkup behind him. So he's dropped down the order a little bit. That's given Norman Clark the chance to move up a little bit further. So Natari managing to slot their cars into some good positions at the moment. Watch out for Darren McKenzie as well. He's having a nice run up inside of Douglas at the moment. Douglas working his way through the field, but it is Mr. Dyson in the lead at the moment as Foster gets a tremendous run as... Oh, who was that in the background having a big moment? Matt Patton having a huge moment, and we are still green, but that was almost a nasty, nasty hit as he catches the wall on the inside, but has kept going.
It's unfortunate for Matt because it's his first race tonight with us. He's had family commitments prior to this, so he'd be looking for a better run than what he's having.
Yeah, it's always nice if you can do well in your first run in a series. It does make you feel a little bit more confident as the races go on. But when it doesn't go well, it's one of those sinking feelings that you have, and you just go, "Oh God, is this going to be the rest of the season?" But things always get better, luckily, and those first night or first time bad lucks don't always carry over. So hopefully next time out we will see that car doing a little bit better and having a little bit more fortune.
Yeah, definitely. Was that Stevie Dubb trying to make that inside line work down the back straight and into the tunnel turn then?
I believe so. Yeah, just getting down the inside of Adam Malone, I think it was. As I looked down the field, I saw the bright green car next to the white and green car. Of course, there's not too many green cars out there, so it makes it slightly easier to spot them. Always nice to have a nice bright colour on the car to make it easier to sight. As we're 3 wide, a little bit further back, Aidan Schultz with Devon Stove and the 97 of Dylan Davies 3 wide as they go through where were we? Through turn 1 there, and they managed to keep it together. Good driving there through the field.
No love lost there, I can tell you that.
No, it's you get that a little bit as you race along. You get the old rivalry starting to form on track, but it's always funny how off the track these things tend to be forgotten and laughed at. But when you're on the track, they get very real very quickly.
Aiden's definitely trying to make that inside line work down into the turn 1. He's been getting down there almost on that yellow line.
Yeah, he's really pushing hard and really, really keeping it low. And that's going to start affecting the tyres a bit more. That's going to add a little bit more heat, especially to that right front tyre. And he's got some damage on the right front as well. And that could really start to hurt him as the stint goes on. Obviously, tyre wear it's not the biggest of issues. Oh, snap as he goes into the back of Devon Stove, and around Stove goes. We get the caution out. Big impact for Stove on the inside wall. So we'll get back to the replay here of that one. So just coming out of turn 2, of course, over the tunnel, Aidan Schultz has a big snap. He has a big wiggle. And that just sends him up into the back of Stove. Stove cannot do anything there. That is Stove going around, and then heavy impact with the wall. Managed to slow the car down a fair bit, but that is going to hurt a bit.
Yeah, that's not a good night for Devon. That's the second one where he's been in the innocent party. So I dare say he's probably getting a bit steamy under the collar there.
Yeah, that's one of the things when you're driving, you have to be really careful of. Just it's trying to keep calm as you race. It's a hard thing to do, and even myself, occasionally you wouldn't believe it, would you? But I get a little bit irate sometimes, and especially when things like that happen, it can set you off, and the red mist comes down, and you either drive the car beyond its limit and do very well, or more likely you end up in a fence on your roof. So you've got to be careful to try and keep calm and just keep the tempers down a little bit. Now we're on lap 38, so 82 remaining. They've been out there for 16 laps. Well, will we see the leaders come in for fuel right now? Personally, if I was in this race lead, I would be coming in for fuel right now, despite the fact we've had so many cautions. That's going to be at least quarter to just about half a tank of fuel.
Looks like
Still,
Dave heard you.
I doing a dummy. He's selling a dummy. It's not Dave coming in. It is Darren McKenzie, though. McKenzie is pretty much the only one of the top runners with Norman Clark and Aidan Schultz coming in. I feel like, though, that this might be a good strategy to be on.
It'll give him as you said, 16 laps on these tyres. It's going to give him a little bit longer tyre run. So, it's a good idea.
Personally, I wouldn't be taking tyres right now. I'd just be taking fuel, and I think that's what a lot of them are doing. I'm just looking at them now, and Mackenzie is taking tyres. Sorry, so he's taken tyres. They are taking tyres. Okay, interesting. So they are taking tyres. A lot of them have taken tyres, but I personally would have just gone for fuel there. But it's yeah, I'll see how that goes, because that's interesting. Because I with the amount of cautions we've had, I feel like tyres won't be too worn at the moment, so it's probably be worth just taking fuel just for that track position, and saving a set for later in the race, of course, because we have got limited tyre sets. There's 80 laps remaining here tonight. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just hearing chat in the background. There may be an issue with the sim. Some boys can't unclick their tyres, so that could be an issue.
Yeah, that would be a tremendous issue tonight, if that has been the case. I'm just going to go back and have a little look, see at Scotty McClintock, because he's been through pit lane about 5 times now. So he's been through a fair few times, and he has not taken tyres. So it sounds like it might be a driver-specific problem, because I've definitely seen cars come in and not take tyres. So it might be an issue for a couple of drivers. They could be using a program like Crew Chief, for instance, and that might be affecting it. Of course, Crew Chief is a third-party program that effectively will calculate your fuel for you, and it can have keys that you can use to actually click tyres on and off on your steering wheel. Sometimes things like that can affect it, so maybe that's the problem. But I've definitely seen a few people come in and not take tyres, so yeah, that's an interesting one. It's a horrible problem to have if it is a problem that you're having, because you'll soon chew through those tyres, and if you've used up all of your tyres by lap 40, that's going to be a painful race for you.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's not a good position to be in.
I would not want to do 80 laps around Pocono on a single set of tyres for Cup car, Mark. That sounds like some form of hell punishment to me.
Definitely. No, thank you.
I mean, 1 lap around Pocono is bad enough, but 80 of them, no, thank you. Oh dear. Not my favourite of racetracks. Of course, Pocono is one of those tracks that I've never got to grasp with. Big fan of Nazareth, though, which is like a mini Pocono. So I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sort of just a weirdo, I imagine. Okay, so it sounds like it's a new issue with the dash, apparently. So interesting there.
Yeah.
That was you asking away in the chat there, Mark. I didn't realise.
Yeah, no, it was me. The one good thing about being league owner, you can jump in and talk to anyone, override their race channels, and yeah. So it definitely looks like it's an iRacing issue with the new release last week.
Yeah, that caused a multitude of issues for a multitude of drivers, unfortunately, and streamers. Um, it's uh, it's been a bit of a decisive one actually. There's been a few things that have changed which have not been popular, especially for us broadcasters.
The one that a lot of people have been getting caught out with is the monitors. If you're running triple or quad monitors, they are if you do an auto reconfig, it changes back to the best settings, and you end up with a single screen.
Yes, VR as
No,
well.
who's that? That's pulled into the infield and disconnected.
Oh, Dion Graf has that would be Dion de Graaf, I think. Yeah, Dion de Graaf just obviously issue there for some reason. Was running up really well actually. He was up in the top 10.
Yeah,
Um,
he was the one that was asking about the tyres, so maybe he's used all his tyres up, Carl.
oh, that is painful there indeed. Having such a good run there and having to effectively retire the car because of an issue like that is just heartbreaking. So oh, that is very painful indeed. One of the best images, though, just going back to the screens there, I saw was somebody had their little LCD screen up for the just in front of their steering wheel, effectively, and iRacing decided to go onto that. So it was basically the size of a phone screen for them to race on, which was an interesting one to race with. So some interesting results as
Yeah.
pace car pulls in as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here. 79 laps remaining, 41 down here at Pocono Raceway for the Weekend Warriors series.
So, two teammates there from
Atari?
I wonder if there's any team orders there, or it's like when JCW races go at it, but don't hit me.
So that's it. The team orders in Atari is go hard, don't crash. Of course, we are brought to you tonight by Custom Paints and Diecast, and a big thank you to them for all their help and their ability to keep us going. And of course, JP SimShed Broadcasting, for bringing you this fantastic action and this beautiful looking race. Always amazing stuff, and the fantastic cameras that go on here as well. So it is Dyson in the lead ahead of Foster and Heddershide there with Dave Douglas in fourth. Fifth for Ruben Phelps. He has done a fantastic job of working his way back up through the field with that damaged car. We spoke to him earlier as he got caught up in that first incident. Did not give up and has worked his way back up towards the top of the field.
I was just going to say there's a good-looking Goodyear car there. So, yeah, Ruben has done extremely well. Mr. Skurlock is there. I'm just trying to see which Pinnacle car that is. It looks like the paint scheme of Greg Spence.
Yeah, Greg Spence is up behind Michael Skurlock at the moment, with Dylan Davis just behind him. So they're working their way nicely through the field.
I tell you what, Greg's done well too, because he got mixed up in that big one. I think it was the third caution of the night. So he's done really well to get up into the top 10. Dylan Davis, he's having a good run. It's his first run for the season. He's had work commitments, so he's doing all right. We've his Davis 1 Toyota Camry up in the 8th at the moment.
Good to see the Toyotas up there, of course. Got one less runner out there tonight, but we're being represented well. Michael Skurlock in 6th at the moment. Dylan Davis in 8th position. So it's good to see the Toyotas up there and fighting it out. Hopefully we can get one in P1, of course.
I was just going to say, but it's about to change. A second Goodyear car, Brett Campbell, up into the top 10. But he's under pressure there by Kobe Jordan and Adam Malone. And I can't see the number of the green...
Stevie Dub.
Stevie Dub.
Yeah, luckily he's got one of the easiest cars to pick out, I think. That fluorescent lime green color scheme that he has. Yeah, it's tricky now because there are a fair few cars with a lot of damage to them, and especially when they have so much front end damage, it's hard to see which car they are because you're missing out so much information on them. Meanwhile, up at the front, Ruben Phelps getting a really nice run on Dave Douglas, getting up into P4 now, moving his way through the field nicely. Really keeping that car going. Dave just seemed to struggle with his long run pace. I've just noticed this a few times as the race goes on. Douglas has just slipped down the field a little bit. So looks like Dave has got the short run pace down pat, but the long run he might be struggling with.
Yeah, definitely. But then I've noticed in the ANSCAR races when Dave does have a good run, he tends to run at the front, drops back, and then he comes back through in the last 30 laps. He's very strong at the rear end of the race.
Yeah, he can look after. It could be just looking after the car and just keeping the tyres a little bit cooler and then going for another attack later on, of course. Valid strategies. And this is the thing about oval racing. And one of the things people don't often realise, if you're first time viewing, of course, welcome to the channel. Welcome to SimShed Broadcasting and the Weekend Warriors series. But welcome to oval racing because there is so much more strategy involved in just going fast and turning left. Of course, you can drop off a little bit to keep your tyres fresher for the end of the stint. You can push at the beginning of the stint, try and build up a gap to try and break away from the pack. You can just push flat out and hope for lots of cautions, or you can just keep the car settled and just wait and pick off people that struggle towards the end of the race. There are so many little things like that involved, and that's not even getting into green stop strategy terms as well. So it's a more strategic style of racing than your sort of sprint race open wheeler stuff that you see, and sort of things like the V8s and sort of most of the Tim Top races where it's sort of single stop situations and it is almost a sprint all the way through. It's a little bit more like the old endurance style races where you really have to pick and choose when to push and you really have to get those stops working for you.
Yeah, most definitely. It's and especially now that we've got brought back the tyre rule, you've got to really think about. So do I take tyres in the first stop and run a double stint on your second set, or do you run a double stint or a stint and a half? So it's not just a straight get in, flat chat, turn left.
That's it. The tyre strategy rule I'm always a fan of because it adds a different level of strategy. It's a little bit like a chess game at, almost 300 kilometers per hour. Greg Spencer having a big moment over the tunnel corner, and he's got a lot of damage to the front right now. Had a huge bite out the concrete barrier, and that's going to really hurt him. So as we move on to lap 48 here, getting towards that halfway point and getting ever closer towards the middle stages of this race. It's a long old race as well, and that's one of the things you have to remember as well is it's a long old race here on Saturday night, and you really have to pace yourself. You can't go too hard too early. You have to be cautious of not putting too much in too soon because you can really start to tire yourself out. So we've got a good battle going on down here.
It looks like Scott McClintock, Brett Campbell, and is it Norman Clark?
It is Norman Clark, yes. I was looking through my cameras trying to struggle with being in too many different series that I forget which paint scheme's which these days. But yeah.
And I've got to shout out a big thanks to Track Cams for Gourmets bringing these great camera angles to us tonight too. Absolutely fantastic. And thanks to JP for having a great handle on them. Some great shots coming to us.
Yeah, Track Cams for Gourmet, of course. You can find them on Google. I think it's just trackcamsforgourmet.com. But really good camera angles and some of the best that we've seen. I mean, I remember back when we first discovered Track Cams for Gourmet, and it just changed the broadcast completely. It's night and day, the difference, and these camera packages do make such a huge difference. Really gives it that sort of almost full metal racing style vibe to it. It looks just like a normal NASCAR broadcast.
Yeah, definitely. What I might do here, Carl, is have we had many answers come in for the most laps led?
Not that I've seen on YouTube, unfortunately.
Yeah, haven't seen any on Twitch either. So, um, I'm going to ask you who's led the most laps here?
Well, I think if my answer that I gave, I think it was last time you asked me this question, I'm going to go Labonte.
Most definitely, it's 9,884 laps led here. So, that's a lot of laps led.
Yeah, it is indeed. I mean, Terry Labonte had such a vast career, of course. You got to be careful of saying Labonte, because of course there was Bobby Labonte as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But yeah, just a fantastic career. I always remember the Cornflakes sponsored car, of course. That was one of my favourite cars back in the day, from long, long ago. Showing some age there, but oh well, these things happen.
Yeah, definitely. So, why we got this run, we might jump on board with Ruben if we can, JP, and go for a couple of laps with rank it up with Ruben Phelps.
A huge accident there as Skurlock and Foster make contact coming out of turn 4, and that is going to be disastrous. That is going to really catch a lot of drivers out. Huge contact there. Foster and Skurlock pretty much out of this race, as Skurlock comes back onto the track and catches out Ruben Phelps and Dave Douglas at the... No, Dave Douglas just avoids it. Douglas just getting through by the skin of his teeth, but that was a huge one. Looks like it looks like Skurlock's just made contact with the wall and gone down into Foster, just that tiny little nibble on the wall, into Foster, and that was that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's just hearing that Ed's night may be over by the look of it, and yeah, Scully just caught the fence.
Yeah, that is race over for Foster. His engine is gone. His engine is done, and that is done for the 53 and for the 350. Racing so hard. We saw that from on board Daniel Hederscheid, of course. So we were sort of witness to that in first-person view almost. That was disastrous. But if we go back and watch Dave Douglas's on board, I think that was one of the more hairy moments of the night for him. He just snuck it through.
I've just been down and Ed's going to the medical centre to get checked out, and then he'll join us in the commentary booth.
Yeah, I think he will need a quick checkup down there for sure. But that is look, that's disastrous there for the night. We had some fantastic racing up until then, and then just a little bit of contact into the wall and big accident.
Yeah, let's hope he's all right. By the look of it, he's been cleared from the medical centre, and he's joined us here in the commentary booth. Good evening, Ed, or should I say evening? It's not a real good one. Not the way you wanted the race to end for you.
No, look, it wasn't, man. But we were going all right. You know, we were going all right. We were just kind of hanging in there behind Daiso, led a few laps. Yeah, everything was looking pretty good. So yeah, it's a shame.
Definitely a big one. Wrist and everything all right. No jarring from your wheel or anything.
No, nothing like that, man. I've been doing this long enough to remember to let go. So it's all good.
Yeah, so go Carl.
I was just going to say, obviously, that came as a bit of a shock for you there, because running side by side like you were, sort of just that big moment, you're sort of in that sort of impact like that going through your brain. You're just going, what actually happened in that instance?
Yeah, look, I mean, I was sort of at first, but at the same time, I know that I hadn't left. You know, we were both on the limit of the grip coming out of the corner, and my car was starting to get a little bit loose, and I assumed if he was still hanging with me, and it's always a bit hard to see exactly where they are, but I assumed if he was still hanging with me, that it was going to be pretty close between him and the wall. And when I copped the whack in the side, I'm like, oh, you know, was that me kind of sliding out and tipping into him, or did he nick the wall and get me? And I've just gone back and had a look, and it looks like he actually got the wall, but you know, it was very close confines there and everything. So you know, it is what it is. You know, we're just racing hard, probably racing too hard too early, to be honest. I was going to let Skirley go when we got to that front stretch because obviously Daiso was going to pull out to the wall and he was going to go by. And I was actually just going to slip in behind him. That was the plan. But yeah, didn't get that far, unfortunately.
A big shame there. I just want to jump back a little bit to that the pit stop you had as well. That race off pit road between yourself and Dyson was some fantastic racing from the from pit lane.
Yeah, it was all right. Like I kind of panicked a little bit because I've accelerated out of the pits and I've heard the revs run up real quick, and I thought, oh, you know, I'm speed, but it's a really high pit lane speed limit here. It's 89k an hour, so I might have got him, but I kind of chickened out a little bit when I saw my speed rising so rapidly and got off the throttle. And I think I crossed the line out of the pits at around about 75 k's an hour or something like that. So yeah, probably could have made a bit more of that. But hey, you know, at the end of the day, one position here or there wasn't going to make too much of a difference. I was more interested in trying to settle in. You know, Dyso worked with me quite a lot in the early laps, and I was just trying to do the same with him and create a little bit of gap to the guys behind so we could sort of decide it between us later on. But that's the way it goes.
Obviously, end of your night now for this one. It looks like there was a lot of damage to the front end of that car.
Yeah, it's pretty cactus, mate. Like, I've taken the tow and it's in the pits at the moment. If I take a look, I'm looking at 20 minutes repairs. So even once I do come back out on the track, I'm going to be a chicane. So I reckon I will probably call it here and jump out, have a drink, and watch the rest of the race.
One good thing though, Ed, is that you've done more than 25% of the race, so you do score points. That's one consolation.
Yeah, well, that's something. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of points, is it? But you know, it's better than nothing, and it's still a long season ahead. You know, had some really good results in the first couple of races. So look, bad ones happen every now and again. That's the way it goes. So yeah, you just got to take the good with the bad, unfortunately, in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Before we let you go, mate, before we get back to green, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, well, just obviously want to wish best of luck to Norman and Daniel, who are still out there. Daniel looks like he's got really good pace. Norman's up there in a good spot at the moment. So, or maybe he's just pitted actually, but yeah. No, he's up in a good spot at the moment. Yeah, it's all right. It's all over the place. But yeah, good luck to those guys, and shouts out to AJD and Fully Flawed.
All right, thanks, mate. Thanks for joining us after not such a good night.
Yeah, it happens, mate. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
So in the lead now, we have Adam Ariel of 55 with the 09 of Norman Clark, both staying out there. Adam Ariel, a lot of damage to the front of that car. They stopped 17 laps ago, 18 laps as we get to the line, and we are about to go green flag racing here. Ariel drops the loud pedal, gets away nicely, catches Norman just a little bit napping there, gets a really good launch there, despite the front end damage. But I think as soon as we get into the corner, you're going to see those cars drop low and go past Norman as they go almost free wide. Norman goes down to try and keep Dave Douglas behind him, doing a nice job of keeping that car slightly behind him there, but can't do enough to defend. Keep it on that high line now. Norman Clark versus Dave Douglas and Andrew Dyson. Dyson getting a good run with Aidan Schultz there. They will sail past him through the bridge section. This is a sketchy part to go too wide, though, as they lift off. Norman Clark going a bit high. He's going to lose a little bit of speed here, and you'll see him drop back behind Heddersheet, I imagine. Heddersheet getting a bit of wiggle, managing to keep it going. Save of the night there. Very well done. Adam Ariel still in the lead as Dave Douglas and Dyson fight it out for P2 at the moment. Possibly going to be P1 as they get up to the line. Very close. Free wide as we get off the exit across the start-finish straight. Andrew Dyson takes the lead of the race Aiden Schultz in behind him is going to get into second with Dave Douglas just dropping behind. No place to go. It looks like Heddersheet's going to get up there as well.
Yeah, definitely some very sketchy driving there. Adam's done really well to keep it in the keep it in the lead for a lap, so he'll get a bonus point. But some great racing there from the other three to get around him.
Yeah, Adams had some good racing with him last week at Las Vegas, very much side-by-side stuff, but it's always tricky, especially when there's such a tyre deficit as well. You know, when you're looking at almost 20 laps difference on tyres, managing to keep it up on that high line is a very difficult task to do indeed, especially when there's damage. Very well driven there. Nice save by Heddersheet just to keep that back end pointing straight, because that was a big snap as he gets a nice bit of a run on Aiden Schultz now up into P2.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it seems like we've been here forever, but the caution laps here is so long, but we're just coming up to half race distance.
Yeah, we are on lap 59 of 120, 61 laps to go. Still a long way to go in this race. As Edward Foster was saying, you know, maybe didn't need to be racing that hard this early in the race. Look a little bit further back as well. Stevie Dubb and Darren McKenzie working their way up through the field nicely now. They're creeping their way back up too. A few different strategies going on here as well, as we have got cars that have done 2 stops and 3 stops and 4 stops. So there is a multitude of different strategies all throughout the field now.
Yeah, I've just come back and had a look at Ruben's car. That is very second-hand. And I know that it's not the way he would have wanted to finish the race. No bonnet, no front end. So he'll be struggling for the rest of the race.
Yeah, that is a painful one, and it's just going to be just keeping it out there. He's still on the lead lap as it stands, and obviously Pocono, a very long track, as we know. 2.5 miles long, 4 kilometers. I had to do maths there in my head, and I hate doing that. So you know, it is a very, very long track indeed. So you do have a bit of time when you're out there to sort of keep the car going. And obviously, if you're on the lead lap, it's worth just sticking it out there, especially when we've had a few cautions, because you might be able to keep on that lead lap for a fair few laps and actually end up in a good finishing position, despite having a car that well, no longer resembles a car.
Yeah, definitely. Just going back through the field, Scott McClintock's still out there running in 15th. He started down towards the back, so he looks like he's fairly straight. Touch wood. So he may come into effect once if there's another caution or two.
Now we've got a good little battle going on here, a little bit further down the pack, 8th onwards at the moment. Adam Ariel just dropping out a little bit, doesn't get it turned through over the bridge section. Norman Clark in the lead of this pack, but we've got we've got a huge amount of hungry drivers back there. Devon Stove getting his car back up there despite that huge impact with the wall. I do not know how that engine is still intact. I expected to see a couple of push rods somewhere in Indianapolis, in all honesty, after a hit like that on the inside wall. But that thing is still going and still going strong.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say to you, that looks like Ruben back there. Sorry, not Devon.
Yeah, that's very, very solid run, and you know, obviously got some speed here at Pocono and is making it work. Speaking of speed here at Pocono and making it work, Andrew Dyson up the front, almost a second lead now over Daniel Hedderscheid and Aiden Schultz, who are having a bit of a battle with Dave Douglas. So we've got 3 cars having a little bit of a fight now for that position, and that's going to start costing them a bit of time. Stevie Dubb, who has got it's a green car. It's not quite mint. It is lime, but it's looking pretty mint at the moment as there's no damage to it. It is looking as clean can be.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any damage on that thing. So that's going to play into his hands a little bit later. He'll probably just sit there and bide his time, because I have no doubt with 60 laps or just under 60 laps to go, we're still going to have a caution or two, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we're still going to see the odd caution coming out, so we'll keep an eye on that one as it goes. Of course, it's one of those things. Unfortunately, we as the cars drop out, though, there's a little bit less chance of cautions happening.
Yeah, definitely. Just back looking at that second group, Alan, that's a big group, but there's a group of 5 that are now starting to gap the rest of them there.
Yeah, that pack is huge, and you've got to say, Norman Clark is acting a bit like a cork in the bottle at the moment. As who is that? Just making contact with the wire gap was Daniel Heddershide, just making a little once against the wall. A few sparks flying off the side of that Atari car. But his teammate Norman Clark is sort of a cork in the bottle at the moment in P7. He of course is on those older tyres, so he's going to have about probably about 10 more laps of fuel in that car until he has to start looking at coming into pit lane. So if he can keep it in this position, that is a really nice spot for him, especially if we get another 5 or 10 laps of green flag racing. That could be a really, really useful way of working your way up through the field for Norman Clark.
Yeah, if we what Norman will probably be hoping for is another caution in the next couple of laps, and he'll duck in and take tyres, and yeah, then he'll be in a box seat again.
Yeah, that's always the thing with the strategy calls. It's just getting those strategy calls right, and just as we say, it's just keeping your options open sometimes. And sometimes, if you've got the pace to run, and it looks like Norman's definitely got that. He's got the pace over the rest of the field. I'd say, tyres just plateauing a little bit after 5 to 10 laps or so. He should be in a solid spot right now. Oh, Dyson having a big snap on the exit of the final corner. Makes the slightest glance of contact with the wall, just giving the rear of that DPR car just a little bit of a glance.
As we get into all this later stage, we've got to start looking at who's got their teammates around them. So we've got Stuart Patterson and Devon Stowe there running together. Back up the front, we had, let me jump back up there. Devon's all by him, Dyson's all by himself out there. And same with the other 3 that have dropped off Devon a little bit. They're all individual individual teams, so there's no real teammates in that top 4, top 5. So the best teammates that are close together are Devon and Stuart. So let's see if they can work together and make some moves happen. Hayden's just hanging there, sitting on the back of Dave Douglas's rear end and waiting for him to make a mistake. But Dave's a seasoned I'll get my tongue around it soon.
So as the battle continues a little bit further behind, we're on board with Aidan Schultz at the moment. As you can see, them just ducking down below Ruben Phelps for that damaged car, who's still circulating now, just dropping a lap down.
He's done well to keep it on the lead lap until now, with the amount of damage that that car's carrying. Just while we're on board here, you can see that ripple strip, how savage that ripple strip is through the big turn.
Yeah, it's one of those things you do not want to even think about, let alone get near. It is a very dangerous little strip. Dyson's still setting some of the fastest times out there. That is, he's just got some really good speed in that car, and clean air as well. So no hint of not much of a draft. I think he got a little bit of maybe a little bit of a toe from Ruben Phelps on that last lap, but yeah, he's still setting impressive times out there in the lead. Daiso just, you know, he's no longer new to oval racing. I mean, he's been doing it for a good year and a bit now. But he's still one of the newer competitors out there, and he just keeps improving and improving on the ovals, and it is great to see.
He had a road racing background, didn't he? He come from road racing.
Very much so, yeah. He came into oval racing last year, was his first full season. He dipped his toes in the year before, but it was last year was his first real year in oval racing completely, and yeah, he has really come on leaps and bounds, and a lot of that has been thanks to some really strong teammates in the oval stuff, like Stevie Dub, of course Neil Pearson, DPR teammates, really helping him learn the ropes. But these boys coming in from the roads, they really took it up a notch. Daniel Hederscheid as well, one of those drivers that's come in from road racing to ovals, new to this style of racing, and two-time cup winner for Anne's car, and just really, really one of those drivers that is coming on leaps and bounds. And it's great to see this all big snap there. Does save it? No, Dylan Davis has gone round, and bang! There it goes. Caution flag is out.
Now this is going to play into Norman Clark's hands. He'll definitely come in and take fuel and tyres.
Yeah, it's been 16 laps for the rest of the field. So they're at that point where it's like, do we come in? Do we not come in? I imagine, again, honestly, I'd be coming in for fuel right now. But that is perfect for Norman Clark. That is exactly what he would have wanted. It's not really what the field would have wanted. They probably would have wanted another 10 laps on that one, to give them the opportunity to maybe make it home. So this is just this is kind of an inopportune time, but it's also an opportunistic time. So if it goes green from here, we'll be looking at one more stop, of course, for everybody. But you probably want to top up the tank now, just in case we get a long green stint, because if it does, then you can go a little bit longer and then maybe catch a caution with the latter stages of this race. So be interested to see what the rest of the field does right now.
Yeah, you definitely. I'd definitely be coming in and taking fuel. We've only 20, 16 or so laps on. You can afford to take just fuel, and hopefully, if there's another caution, you've got a set of tyres for that last 20 lap sprint or so. If there's a late caution.
Yeah, I mean, you might see the leaders actually taking tyres here, because no, there's Dyson's doing the dummy. Dyson's sticking it out as well as Schultz. So Dave Douglas has he's either got caught out by the dummy, or he was coming in no matter what. It might be worth taking tyres for a couple of these drivers. Dave's been through the pit lane 3 times now, so he might not have any tyres left. But a few of these drivers, wait, this is third time. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out my screens now. So he might have a set of just one more set of tyres left after this. So this might work out well for him. It could be worth just gambling that you're only going to see one more stop and just get that second to last set of tyres slapped on now, and then go for the rest of the race. So multitude of different strategies here. Interesting to see what happens. As I say, I'd be similar to you, Mark, and actually keeping the old tyres on. I think,
because remember, Carl, we do have one overtime. So, if you get a late race caution, you definitely want to have that set of tyres up your sleeve to throw on if you get like with 5 or 6 laps left in the race. You definitely want fresh tyres there.
yeah, it's. I mean, the one thing I would say though, with these new cars, there has been that slight little thing of tire temperature can be slightly more advantageous to super fresh tires, depending on how long you've had them on for, obviously. So it's tricky. It's still that fun thing of this new car is still throwing a few little interesting things around. We did see, of course, Norman Clark falling down a little bit, but we saw Adam Ariel managing to keep keep his car pretty much in first place for a single lap. So it could be the fact that having temperature in your tires could be a little bit more useful than having super fresh cold tires for that sort of last lap lunge. So again, be interesting to see if that happens.
Yeah, definitely. It's as you said before. There's so many ways of running these races. Like we're just talking about there. Do you keep a set of fresh tyres? Do you take them now and run home with them, or do you take fuel and tyres now and hopefully there's only one more stop. So there's multitudes of ways of running these races, especially with how long we run the races for, because all our races are on these bigger tracks down to mile tracks are 300-mile long, which is what 482 kilometres. So they are long races.
They are indeed. It caught me out last week because I sort of forgot how long it was, and yeah, it's sort of sitting there halfway through the race, going, "Oh wait, there's still basically another race to go right now. Oh dear." Awkward moment, but managed to keep it going at least. But yeah, it is a long race to do, and when you have those long races, it does change up strategy quite a bit. Jamie Nankervis doing a really good job of getting his car back up there. The Custom Paints and Diecast sponsored number 8 has seen better days. It's not necessarily looking like the cleanest car out there, but he's been through pit lane 8 times tonight, so a few visits to the pit box. But he's up in P4 at the moment. A very good recovery drive.
Very, very good. He'd be extremely happy with that. And I know his teammate will have the iPad out and watching the stream while he's doing the family thing.
A bit of a check up a little bit further back, just as we go back to green there to see who that was. But somebody had a little bit of a check up and went into the back there. I think it was Carl Kidler and just trying to find out who that was. Sorry, Dylan Davies. Unfortunately, just a little bit of a tap. But we are back to green flag racing. It is Dyson still in the lead, launching himself away on those tyres that have now done almost 20 laps. So we're getting towards the latter stages of the stint. Now it's to see how those fresh tyres do, and you're going to see them just starting to run their way up through the field. So first car on fresh tyres is Dave Douglas at the moment. So Double D Dave Douglas running his way up through the field. Then we have Norman Clark, Daniel Heddersheed, Stevie Dubb, Greg Spencer, Devon Stove. Those guys are pretty much everybody down fresh tyres. Brett Campbell is on old tyres, and he is starting to plummet through the order. Tristan Koch is the next car on fresh tyres, but Dave Douglas is siving his way through the pack now and trying to catch up to Mr. Andrew Dyson.
Yeah, I think if I was just going to say, I think if Jamie can stay with Dave, he'll use Dave as the dozer to push his way past these Southern Star boys.
Yeah, might be a bit hard though to stick with that car. I think through the corners, Dave is just going to pull away as he has a little bit more grip. Ooh, be close there, as Dave Douglas is just flying down the inside, using all of the grip of those fresh tyres as he gets past Darren McKenzie there. Just absolutely flinging that car through there, and that's the joy of the fresher tyres. Of course, you have a little bit more adhesion to them. You can take that little tighter line and not have to worry about the car running up the track as much. And he is just absolutely eating away at Aidan Schultz's gap now.
Nice move to the inside.
Very nice. And look behind as well. Heddersheid, Stevie Dubb, they're all working their way through. These fresh tyres are definitely starting to work their way up through the field. Of course, what they don't want to see is a caution in the next 10 to 15 laps, because that will really scupper their plans and give those drivers that, well, I'd say actually the next 10 laps. If they see a caution in the next 10 laps, that would really hurt their chances. But if it remains green from here, this could be the winning strategy.
most definitely. So we will have those guys on fresher tyres, as you were saying, Carl, come through the field very quickly. And Dyson's going to have to be very careful not to get caught out here by Dave. He may panic and start to see how quick Dave is closing, and he may end up regretting.
Yeah, I think Dyson is looking in his mirror now going, I've got a race on my hands right now. This might be more trouble than I expected. So that will be interesting. Got Ed Foster in the YouTube chat just saying these lads got themselves sorted and give Dyson a race as well. So yeah, I agree with that from Foster. Absolutely. This is going to give Andrew Dyson a bit of a headache and give him something to think about for the rest of the race. But there is a huge pack further down. Stevie Dubb has got an absolute mad battle pack behind him as he tries to catch up to Tristan Cock on the fresher tire, on the older tyres as well. So he's having a good run on those tyres that have done 23 laps now. He's still keeping some speed in there. That car relatively clean as well, so I think that's helping him out, as there's a lot of cars behind him that have got damage. But Stevie Dubb on a fresh set of tyres with a very fresh looking car is about to make the move. As Douglas is up into second place now past Schultz, and Hedderscheid is about to make that move as well. Time-wise, actually, sort of we'll wait to see how this goes once they sort of clear themselves out of racing, because at the moment Dyson is still setting some very fast lap times. Last time round it was a 54.7 for Dyson. Douglas 54.9. Daniel Hedderscheid though 54.5.
Wreck.
Tristan Koch, and he's kept it going, so no caution flag. But that is disastrous for Koch. He was running a good race and running in a good position, and I think what's happened is it looks like he's actually had somebody go into it. It's Greg Spencer's gone into the back of him just over the bridge, just had the front tapped, and that's pinged him up into the wall. Big impact there for the 550, and that's going to be painful indeed. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, we have old versus new versus old versus new with the tyre front. It is Dyson leading Douglas, Schultz leading Hedderscheid. This battle is very much on. Hedderscheid making the move on Schultz now. Those fresh tyres giving him the opportunity to run a little bit lower. Gets a little bit more traction off the back of the track as he runs down a little bit further back. Stevie Dubb looking very close to the wall as he made contact with the wall. So Stevie Dubb making contact with the wall, and that's caused a big check-up behind him.
Look at behind them, 4 wide.
3 wide as they go through turns 1 and 2. This is the stuff where a caution could be very quick to come out. This is where you really need to be careful on the old steering wheels.
Sorry, mate, I can't see. I got my eyes closed because I don't want to watch.
I do not blame you at all. So last lap round, the Dyson was 54.9. Meanwhile, Dave Douglas 55 dead. So Dyson still setting the pace of the field despite those tyres being, we're probably not passing any tests anymore on the road. But Dyson is making them work still, and absolutely setting the times alive. As Stevie Dubb, I think, makes contact with the wall again. Does he? No, he just
touch. We're gonna have a caution.
It was 3 wide across the line, and yeah, it looked like Stevie Dubb lost all of his speed going out the corner. It was a weird one for him because he just absolutely hemorrhaged straight line pace. And then I think it was Adam Ariel just got caught out by it. And
I'll just duck you down and see if I can get a quick word with Steve.
Yeah, so Adam Ariel there, and then Adam Malone, unfortunately. Adam Malone there, the one that really just got caught out of nowhere there. So he was the innocent bystander in that one. But a weird one for Stevie Dubb there, just absolutely losing pace off the corner. Possibly engine issue maybe or something like that. But this is the kind of thing that is going to help Mr. Dyson out. He is going to jump into pit lane now. 27 laps on these tyres, 27 laps into the stint. There's 38 laps remaining. So we are getting into that area where maybe with another couple of cautions you can make it on one tank. But this will be interesting to see.
All right, I've just had a quick word over the race radio with Stevie Dubb, and he doesn't know what happened. He said he got out of the gas at just that fraction because he was right up against the wall. But next thing he knew, he had a car into the side of him.
Really strange one there. I mean, it's almost like Stevie Dubb's car just had like an air brake applied to it. It just fell back so quickly, and just caught those drivers out behind him. They just free wide across the start-finish line there, and it just did not work, unfortunately. That was definitely a weird accident.
Yeah, definitely something that will be looked at post-race though. Should have something a rule be breached there, because that was a big one.
Yeah, that was a huge accident, and it has made an interesting effect to this race. So in comes Andrew Dyson, outstaves Dave Douglas, header side.
Schultz is in.
Spencer. So all of those guys that a lot of those guys that stayed out last time around are coming in. So Darren McKenzie as well coming in for those fresh boots. But Devon Stove, Patton, Nankervis, McClintock, Jai Schultz, and Ruben Phelps, and pretty much everybody else coming in now for those fresh tyres and fuel. So that is interesting.
Still not going to be able to make it home from here. It's still 37 laps. So they may be able to save some fuel and make it home. But I reckon we're going to see another pit stop before the night's out.
I think that's it. I don't... It's...
I'll tell you what, Carl.
It's theoretical to make it home on fuel. I reckon you can just about make it home on fuel from here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. We'll just close our eyes and pray.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's going to be a fuel-saving race for those guys that pit now. The guys that stayed out are going to have to absolutely go tooth and nail and flog it as much as they can to make as much gap, because they are definitely going to have to come in again. They're going to have to hope that those guys need to really save. So Ed Foster just on YouTube, just saying the guys that stopped will make it home. So that is, I think that's the evidence I need to say that, yes, I think that's the right call. I think the guys that stayed out have probably made the wrong call, unless we get a caution, unless we get another caution in about 15, 20 laps where tyres come into play. I think that the guys that stayed out have made possibly a bit of a gamble, and it might be the wrong way. But we have seen in motorsport is you never know what's going to happen until the end. And it might well still pay off for them, but it is going to be very tricky here. As I see Scott McClintock coming in for pit stop number 10, I think, of the day. McClintock, the pit road champion tonight, I think. He's been in pit lane it's quite a few times, but just coming in for that top up of fuel. So he's just coming in just for a little bit of extra fuel in the tank, just an oily rag worth of fuel in there, effectively. But that could be the difference between him having to lift off in a corner and him being able to stay full throttle now to the end of the race, and that could be an interesting little thing that changes his race.
Yeah, definitely. Now, there's a couple of ways of saving fuel here on these cautions. Some guys will turn their car off and let the car roll, and other guys will just put the foot on the clutch and just let the engine idle through. So, yeah, depending on who does what and who can save what, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just clicking through the cars, and Dave Douglas definitely using the old throttle. Everybody else is pretty much on it at the moment. Nobody's really doing too much, but we are getting to that line. I can hear Dyson using the clutch as well, so Dyson's clutching it quite a bit, and he's keeping it in a high gear at the moment. but he is very much on the clutch every opportunity he gets. So Dyson is really considering that fuel save right now. That's interesting to hear and see as we get ready to go green again. But yeah, as you say, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. The old switch off or clutch. Of course, the good thing about a sim race car is it's going to refire every time, unlike a full metal race car, which often doesn't refire when you switch it off.
No, definitely not. I wonder how many people have been caught out with that. Okay, pace cars in.
And we are back to green flag racing. Dave Douglas leads away. I think back to Toyota back in 2014, I think it was, their car switching off on the final lap of Le Mans with less than a couple of miles to go. And not switching back on, it was a heartbreaking moment for them. But that's the trouble sometimes with switching the race car off, because it doesn't want to refire. But Dave Douglas is in the lead over Heddersheed, and these guys need to break away and absolutely go hell for leather now.
Yeah, Dyson's there with him though, so it's going to be hard for Dave and Daniel to break away from Mr. Dyson.
Yeah, look, Dyson is on fresh tyres. He's going to be wanting to fuel save a little bit, so I get the feeling that he might be happy sitting behind some of the faster cars for a little bit, but he doesn't want to get involved in any scraps that he doesn't need to as well. He has got... who's that just behind him?
Oh, we've got a caution.
Caution is out. Oh, Dylan Davies is in the wall. There's a big impact there with him and Brett Campbell, I think it was. Brett Campbell having a huge moment off the corner. So Campbell's lost the rear end and gone into Dylan Davies. So the 015 into the 97, and that is a big impact for Davies. Campbell sort of unfortunately in pit lane as well. That will get him a penalty, I think, but a fair bit of damage to that one. But this is exactly what Dyson will want, because this is going to help him get to the end of the race on that tank. This is not what Dave Douglas, Daniel Heddersheid, or any of the other drivers that stayed out probably would have wanted to see.
But the thing is, does Dave now decide to come in and take that tank of fuel and tyres? Yeah.
You'd say he's got to, really. I mean, you can make it to the end of the race from here.
No, they've stayed out, so
that's a bold strategy. Well, is it because was the pit lane open then? Because
nah, probably the next time round.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think I caught the pace car then. So find out. I mean, honestly, personally, I feel like you've got to stop because there's only 33 laps of this race remaining, and yeah, they've been out there for 15 laps now, so they need to get that fuel on board. They need to get that fresh set of boots on for the end of this race. They could possibly go without tyres, just get fuel, just save that set of tyres just for the end, just in case, because they're probably running a little bit low on tyres. So you've got to at least stop for fuel right here, because if you don't, it's way too much of a gamble. I feel like you're putting way too much on the line. You might see somebody like Kobe Jordan or Norman Clark, Greg Spencer, maybe stick it out and hope for a later caution in the next 20 laps. But I feel like next 10 laps even. But I feel like if you're Dave Douglas, Daniel Heddersheid, you've really got to come into pit lane now, because otherwise you're probably going to have to stop under green, and that's going to be almost race over for you, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. And don't be surprised to see Scott back down pit lane top up. He was a teammate of mine, and I know that he likes to keep plenty of fuel in the tank to get those longer runs.
And they stick it out. They do not come in pit lane. Kobe Jordan does. Adam Malone does. Ruben Phelps. But there's a few cars coming in, but most of them are sticking it out now. So, this is interesting, because I don't think there is any way that Douglas, Heddersheid, Spencer or Clark can make it home from when they stopped last. I think that is asking way too much of the tank. So they're banking on a later caution. They're banking on another caution coming out. And yeah, that is a real bold strategy. That's really a gamble, I feel like. That's gambling when it's not in your favor, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say I would have been in for some fuel at least.
Yeah, it's you know, it feels like the wrong call, but you know, this is sometimes how it works, though, is it might feel wrong, but it works out in your favor. We'll soon find out. I mean, we've only got 32 laps remaining of this race, so we will know shortly. But they have to, they are going to be hoping for a caution in the next 20 laps, because that's the only chance they've got, I feel like.
Now I can tell you, Dave Douglas is rolling around, and he's only bringing his engine revs up to 4,000 RPM, and then he's off the gas once he gets alongside the pace car. He's in fuel save mode.
Yeah, a few of those drivers are in the mega fuel saving mode. And Foster just popping up on YouTube once more, just talking about how they just have to stick it out now. Pitting will put them behind Dyson on the similar tyres. They need to gamble on another one, so they all pit at the same time, because otherwise they've sort of lost it. And I agree, it's that sort of tricky call now. It's sort of, you're in this weird position where you sort of just have to go one way or another. And
yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, hey Ed, was there any team orders to Daniel before you left the server, mate?
Don't crash. Pen, just not useful. I'm still using a pen and paper notebook as I commentate, write down bits and bobs as I'm going through out there. Dropping the pen underneath the desk did not help me out at all. But we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing right here. Dave Douglas in the lead. The casting couch sitting there proudly up front. And Edward Foster just commenting, absolutely not. So no team orders at all. So we're getting ready to go back to green here. The pace car lights are out. The sun is starting to set here, of course. So it is starting to get into that early stages of evening. So temperatures are starting to drop. That sun is going to be in your eyes as you go down towards turn number 4. So it's going to be a little bit glary and bright as you get down to that section of the race. Sort of that section of the track, but the pace car is coming in. Dave Douglas is going to lead away. Look at how close Dyson is to Douglas. He is really not letting Dave get away as Douglas drops the loud pedal, gets a good restart there and pulls himself up the track. Dyson is going to try and launch himself forwards. He's going to go on the low line and try and use that slightly better grip that he's got. Keep a low line, keep the speed up, side by side with Heddershoot at the moment. Heddershoot getting up a little bit higher, should get a little bit of a better run off the track, but you can see the pressure tyres just helping Dyson launch himself down and fly up towards Dave Douglas as they get to the tunnel corner. Dyson on the inside, Douglas on the outside. Dyson is making the move. Douglas, oh, big snap mid-corner. Saves that one, but loses the position.
There's a lap car coming up too, so we'll see if that plays into has an effect on this lead pack.
Yeah, Adrian Schultz now on the move as well. He's on those fresh tyres, so he's starting to push his way forwards too. So we'll see how that one goes. That lead lap car is Wayne Van Billion, so he is he's still technically on the lead lap, so he's trying to keep that car up there inside the top 20 in P18 at the moment. So wanting to try and get the best finish he can tonight with a car that is well, it's missing more than a few panels, but it is still going importantly.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's close racing there between Schultz and Spencer.
Yeah, that would have been a moment of swapping a little bit of paint and swapping each other's sponsors onto each other's cars there as they fly side by side. Douglas again, that's back end is just stepping out a little bit. Same for Dyson actually there.
Greg.
Spencer in the wall! Big crash there for Spencer. No caution. No caution, that's the important thing. He's managed to keep it going. Whoever was just behind him, there was a red car, I think, and that car just very much got lucky. I think it was Devon Stove, actually, who just snuck it through there, because that was almost a huge one. So we'll see in the replay up into the wall. I think that was a little bit further back because somebody just getting up into the wall there. But yeah, big loss of grip up into the wall, and then almost catching out the car behind him. That was almost that would have been a that was a big shocker. That one, never a fun moment to have, and yeah, always one of those moments that will leave you a little bit breathless.
Yeah, definitely. Not a thing you want to happen in such a late race either.
No, Devon Stove getting so lucky, as I said, just to avoid that one. He is again recovery drive after that early incident, working his way up through the field. Jamie Nankervis currently sitting in 9th, just dropping down to 10th possibly, as Stevie W just sneaks past, and Scott McClintock as well. McClintock is got a really nice clean car, the 16, and is just keeping it there and just watching everybody at the moment. And I feel like could be one of those drivers that comes later in the race and could possibly get a fair few positions as this race goes on.
Yeah, he seems to sit back and wait, and I think around lap 100 you'll see him really start to push the envelope to try and get that good run up into that top 10. As you said, he's only just sitting outside 10th in 11th, so just waiting to see what goes on in front of him.
Yeah, it's keeping an eye in front of you. It's sort of the my way of racing. I must admit, is just holding back, seeing what happens, then trying to pick off the remains of the carcass like something. Oh, Hedershine in the wall! Big impact for Daniel Hedershine. Big accident there. That's going to cost him a lot of speed, and that is disastrous for his race. He's managed to keep it going in a straight line just over the tunnel, but that's a lot of damage on the front, and he is struggling with that car now. The back end stepping out. Big impact there, and that's exactly what Aidan Schultz would have wanted to see.
Most definitely. Aidan and Daniel's car now look about the same.
Yeah, they're both seen better days. Quite a lot of damage to the right side of both of these cars, unfortunately. Still going though, and still got some speed in them. They are still fairly quick in a straight line, but this has really helped out Dave and Andrew Dyson, taking a little bit of pressure off of them as Aidan Schultz gets through into P3 now, as Daniel Hedershine's just got to sort of just take a breath, get back into the swing of things, get back into the race rhythm. As Norman Clark now leads a bit of a charge a bit further back. Devon Stove just behind him. Norman Clark working his way up, trying to catch Patterson. Patterson up in front in the 197. Patterson had a very quiet night for him. Not really said much about Mr. Patterson, but worked up 22 positions so far tonight. Really just sneaking his way up through the field. Currently putting pressure on Darren McKenzie in 5th position.
As we jump back there, McClintock now up in the 10th, soon to be 9th. He's got a nice move on Jamie Nankervis.
Yeah, but as you said, it's that sort of it's almost go time for him, isn't it? Really, you've just got to start making those positions, and now it's time to start picking away at.
Wreck in front of him. That's
Norman Clark,
Clark,
and Devon, not Devon Stove, Patterson, I think.
Patterson. Yeah, there's your curse.
Yeah, curse of the commentator strikes. Patterson up into the wall through turn 2. catches the wall, unfortunately, and
Oh.
straight into Norman Clark.
Norman had nowhere to go. Innocent bystander there. When the car snaps like that and comes down, there's just absolutely nowhere to go.
No, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the curse of the commentator in full action. This is why we don't talk about drivers sometimes. If you wonder why we're not talking about your favourite driver, it's because we don't want to cause them to wreck. But yeah,
unless they're in a taxi.
Exactly. In a non-Toyota or Chevrolet, it's
Yes.
fine. Yeah. So by that theory, obviously, Dave Douglas or Aidan Schultz going to win this race, of course. But yeah, that was a real big shame and look, disastrous for Norman. He had nowhere to go, and that's a huge amount of damage to that car as well. That really is going to hurt his race, and a real big shame as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're going to have the same issue as Ant's car has on Thursday night, mate. With the results that are going to come this way, it's going to shake the championship up a great deal too.
Yeah, look, that's a big thing for tonight. Is a lot of the championship leaders are, well, they're missing from the top area. Of course, coming into this race, Norman Clark was sitting third in the championship. Ruben Phelps second. Ruben Phelps, obviously, quite a lot of damage to the car as Daiso sticks it out. Dyson doesn't come into pit lane, so he is going to stick it out there on the slightly older tyres, but the rest of the field coming in. Foster, of course, leading the championship when we came into this race. So that has really shaken it up. Mark Smith not here tonight, I don't think, was he?
No.
So sitting in the top. So this is going to help out champion Darren McKenzie. If he can keep it up there, that's going to be good news for him, who's snuck his way up into P2 at the moment, as everybody's coming to pit lane. But Darren McKenzie and Stevie Dubb, Steve Dubb's out. Steve Dubb is still going. Yeah, he's still going. But they're really the sort of top of the championship drivers that are still in with a bit of chance. But this is probably the best news for Darren McKenzie and Devon Stove, drivers in the top 10. It's looking good for them championship wise. So
this will change the top 10 right around. Just having a quick calculation, Jamie Nankervis will go up into the top 10. Stuart Peterson will go up in the top 10. Raymond Jager, is he still there tonight?
He's dropped. He's down in 32nd and out of the race.
Yep. So Aidan will jump up. Aidan and Scott will, McClintock will probably be the biggest movers, so long as I haven't just cursed them.
Yes, that is very much it. So on my calculation, so Dyson's still got a set of tyres in his pocket. So he's only been down pit lane 3 times tonight. So 5 sets of tyres. So yeah, so he's still got a set of tyres in his pocket. So Daiso's still got a set of tyres left if we get a late caution. He has decided to stick it out there. He's on 16 laps for these tyres. So he's obviously, he's going to see how this goes. I think everybody else has pretty much used up all of their tyres. So Daiso's still got a nice set of fresh tyres left. Everybody else, I think, has used them up.
I would say Scott would probably still have a set further back. I'm just going off who I know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with Scott because he's been through. Scott and Adam Malone both been through pit lane 10 times tonight, so I'm sort of like I'm going off sort of there is there. Due to their stop times, looks like they took a set of tyres, so they may have used up their last set of tyres. So everybody that came in pit lane last time took tyres. So I think, I would say personally, I feel like probably the only driver that has tyres left is Daiso. So yeah, interesting. Because by the looks of things, everybody else has taken an extra set of tyres. So it's a bit hard to say. It would be nice if I actually had if there was a little bit more information for tyres taken, these things we need for overlays. But just through having a bit of a look through the field and looking at stock times, the only car I can see that definitely has a set of tyres left is Andrew Dyson. So he is trying something very different here. How will this pay off? He's got a lot of wounded cars around him. So Dave Douglas down in 7th is the car that is really at risk, and he's got to get past quite a few wounded cars. So if Dyson could build a bit of a lead here, he could be in a good spot as we go back to Green Flag Racing. 21 laps this way here on Sim Shed Broadcasting for the Weekend Warriors Cup Series, brought to you by
Custom paints and diecast.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. Apologise, not feeling the best tonight, and my brain is obviously not working at full power. Andrew Dyson gets a fantastic leap off. Darren McKenzie in 2nd, Devon Stowe 3rd, Kobe Jordan in 4th, with Daniel Heddersheed in 5th.
This will be interesting to see what Dave Douglas can do here, to see if he can get a good run. He's up on that high line at the moment. Oh, Daniel got a little bit a tag, a wagtail.
Yeah, the other thing, of course, as well, is we have seen in previous rounds and sort of previous times with these new cars, is they do take a good 2 or 3 laps just to get the tyres up to performance temperature. So those guys that took fresh tyres might just have to be going a little bit easy on this first opening lap, and this has given Dyson the chance to get a good 1 second lead now over McKenzie. As I said, there was a lot of wounded cars between Douglas and the lead of this race, and this has helped Dyson out immensely.
Hey, Dave's done all right though. He's got up in the 4th out of his start, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, he's picking apart those cars in front of him. As I say, it's he's got a relatively, his car is pretty much pristine. I think it's compared to some of them, a little bit of a wrinkle on the front of the casting couch. I mean, that can iron out nice and easily as it gets down underneath Devon Stowe. Now Darren McKenzie's next up on the list, and McKenzie doing a great job of getting that car back up into a possible winning position after the wreck at the start of this race.
Dave's having a run on McKenzie. He's got that move done.
Now we're going to see the pace of those fresh tyres. What can Dave Douglas do right now here at Pocono? He needs to start setting those lap times alive. He's got almost 2 seconds to make up to Andrew Dyson. Will he be able to...
Sorry, Aiden's underneath Devon and now making a move on Darren. Aiden's got to pace back into that car for a very wounded car.
Yeah, very wounded, but of course fresh tyres on that car. So his car has seen better days, but he has got a fresh set of boots on there, which is definitely helping out now, and you can see the difference that it's making. So last lap, 54.3 for Andrew Dyson, 54.4 for Dave Douglas, 54.5 for Aiden Schultz. So Dyson, fastest car out there still on those old tyres. Still 1.8 second lead over Dave Douglas. So he is doing a great job of working those worn tyres at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And he's not pushing the car. You can see him just letting the car come down to the apron and just letting it glide back out. So he's really not pushing it real hard.
Absolutely nothing between them. 54.49 compared to a 54.67 by Dave Douglas. So there is absolutely nothing between them. Dave Douglas is a little tiny bit faster, but not by enough. He needs more speed than that to catch up to Dyson, who has a 1.9 second lead. It's almost up to 2 seconds now. Dyson is absolutely pulling away, and just again, Dyson just showing how good he is on tyres. Just one of those drivers that can make old tyres work. It's one of those things that you just look at and go, how are you doing that? I don't understand this. But he has just got this ability to, he's almost a tire whisperer, you can say. A little bit further back, battle between Mackenzie and Heddersheet. Heddersheet getting underneath Darren Mackenzie now, getting the run on the start-finish straight, side by side. Drag race it is. Mackenzie gets a better run out the corner, getting up nicely. Look out for Scott McClintock. Scott McClintock is coming up nicely now as well. And look at how clean that car is as well. That thing is probably the cleanest car out there other than Andrew Dyson. And he is making his move through the field now. He could be in for a good points haul tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just on board watching the camera. Dyso's throttle control, and I'm not going to give away what he's doing, but it's definitely working for him, and he's definitely looking after those tyres.
Yeah, if my right foot could be as accurate as Dyson's, I think I would do a lot better in sim racing. He is very, very good at throttle control, throttle management. It is definitely a strong point of his. So we're going to jump on board now, and we'll just be a bit quiet. Listen to his car as it goes through the corners. So you can just hear that and see, just dropping that car down a gear and just keeping it nice and settled through the corners. A little bit further back, Mackenzie making a move on Heddersheet now, getting his way past. This battle is still going on as these two battle it out lap after lap. The damage on the front of Heddersheet's car, unfortunately, looking like it's hurt him a little bit. And McClintock just sitting there, just behind Devon Stove at the moment, just seeing what he can do. Watch out for Stevie Dub as well. He is worked his way back after that big hit he took, and he's just keeping himself in the battle here. Meanwhile, Dyson is a good almost 2.5 seconds ahead of Dave Douglas now, and just pulling away. Dyson just really doing a great job on the throttle management and just keeping that car as fast as possible, and obviously not having to worry about fuel or anything like that now. It is a pure sprint to the end. Douglas really trying to push up. Not much he can do. Aiden Schultz, again, not much he can do to catch on to Douglas. So the top three are kind of settled at the moment, barring any misfortune. The big battle is for 4th position at the moment. It is Heddersheet versus Mackenzie, versus Stove, McClintock, and Williams. You've got to say the thing that Dyson will be really not wanting to see is that yellow flag right now. He is really, really getting a good run. And if that caution comes out, this could scupper him. But Dave Douglas would very much like to see that yellow flag come out. Meanwhile, Heddersheet is doing his best to defend, but he seems to be struggling just in the corner. It looks like mid-corner pace is really where he's struggling in that car now. Possibly that front-end damage not helping.
No, definitely not. I'm just keeping an eye on this battle behind. There's now 5 cars in that battle for those lower positions, and they're not helping each other. They're definitely out there racing each other.
Yeah, they're definitely not trying to catch up to this group. They are fighting tooth and nail for position. Speaking of fighting tooth and nail, Stevie Dub is flooring it past Devon Stove right now. Stevie Dub on the attack and really starting to catch up positions. And this is kind of what Stevie Dub wants to see, especially for championship points wise. This will be very kind to him. Darren Mackenzie goes round. Do we see a caution?
I think he's kept it going, so we won't see a caution come out. Yep, he's kept it going.
There was a huge amount of smoke behind as people were avoiding and getting it out. Stevie Dub just, and McClintock as well. Those two just missing Mackenzie by the skin of their teeth. Mackenzie, that's disastrous for him. But watch this replay. You'll see just how close it comes. The Mackenzie loses the back end of the car and just goes around, gets that wall. In he goes, loses it, and look at that. Those two cars just missing the rear of Mackenzie's car by millimeters. About as close as you ever want to get when a race car is hurtling out of control. Big moment there. But the battle's still on behind. This has given Heather Sheep the chance to break away a little bit. But Stevie Dub has broken free. McClintock and Devon Stove now racing side by side. A little bit further back, you've got Kobe Jordan, Jamie Nankervis, and Adam Malone all having a great little fight too. Nankervis having a good result here after a lot of early impacts. Just dragging the car back to life and back up into the top of the race. That never give up attitude that we talk about sometimes really paying off there. As Dave Douglas has a bit of a moment with a flapped car just coming onto the start finish straight, I think. But no harm, no foul. But just a bit of a moment there as they were getting past Adam Ariel. Ariel just struggling to keep that car pointing in the right direction as it has got a lot of damage to it. But there are a fair few battles still going on. It's spread out a little bit. The biggest battle at the moment is between Nankervis and Malone. The two side by side at the moment for 8th and 9th in this race. Kobe Jordan just sitting back there watching the fight going, keep it up, boys. This is just helping me catch up to you guys. I might be able to work my way from 10th to 8th if you continue with this fight.
And I'll tell you what's impressive too, Carl, is that, what are we, 112 laps in, and we've still got 15 cars on the lead lap. So, realistically, if we get a caution now, any one of 15 cars can win.
Yeah, that is a really decent amount of cars to have on the lead lap. Last week, I think it was 12 cars on the lead lap at the final, with one bloke in 13th position. I don't know who that was. Some idiot, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's nice to see all these cars on the lead lap, and yeah, it really does make it fun if there is that sort of late green-white checker. It really changes things up.
Well, this time last year we'd already had 2 out of 3, and this year we haven't had 1. So, wondering if we'll see it tonight.
Are we due for that green-white checker to come out?
7 laps to go.
Not far now. We are getting close, and still fastest car on the track is Andrew Dyson. Still setting the fastest time of anyone. It's impressive stuff. I mean, and it seems like he's got a little bit to spare as well. You know, he's not absolutely flying, which just speaks for him. You know, again, an impressive drive from Dyson. Just, yeah, he is a very quick driver, and one of those people that, you know, is very fun to race against, but also just... Jamie Nankervis is around. We've got that caution. We've got a late caution. Nankervis and Kobe Jordan, I believe, may have made contact. Yeah, just a little bit of contact there, side by side, and that spun him around. Nankervis, around he goes. And I think Jordan and Malone made secondary contact there.
That's unfortunate for Jamie. He was having a good closing session to this race.
Yeah, really good recovery drive, and that's going to hurt. Oh, you would say that this is disastrous for Dyson, being that he's on those older tyres and everybody else is on those fresher tyres. But considering he was the fastest car out there, still, is it? It looks like he's still got some pace. It's definitely going to make his life harder with 5 laps remaining. But this is going to be a fascinating little battle to the end. Will Dave Douglas have anything to give to Daiso towards the end of this race? Can he possibly get in front and get the lead of this race? Could we see Aidan Schultz get a lightning start, possibly get into the lead? A lot of damage on that car, remember, so I don't think he'd be able to keep it, but he might be able to throw a spanner in the works of some of these drivers.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the big question is anyone going to have a set of tyres, and do they come in and take them? I personally, with 5 laps to go, I'd be staying on the tyres that I've got on under me.
Look, I think track position is key here. Unless you're down towards the back of the pack, it's not worth coming in. I think if I was sitting in a lower position, I would come in. Dyson throwing the dummy. He absolutely threw the dummy there. Daniel Hedersheed coming in, Devon Stove coming in. So they decided they were going to come in. But the biggest dummy throw of them all there. They were absolutely trying to catch people out. I don't know if it worked, but it definitely threw a spanner in the works for some people. But a lot of cars coming in. So Daniel Hedersheed has got some tyres left. So he's getting some fresh tyres. So he has got a fresh set of boots being strapped on at the moment.
Same with Devon. Devon's getting fresh boots. Darren McKenzie's fresh boots.
Ruben Phelps as well. Fresh tyres on a not so fresh car. Still on the lead lap though for Ruben, despite the fact most of his car is about 40 or 50 laps down. But the main bit that matters is still on the lead lap. So this has made things interesting. We've got some fresh tyres on some cars now. Daniel Hedersheed's sitting in P9, so he's got a lot of cars to get through in a very short period now.
So, and Devon's sitting in P8 with fresh tyres. So I think I might just put my blindfold on here and wait for you to call the wreck.
I think if you're in the panel beating market, then the virtual panel beating market, you might be in for some serious business tonight. I think, but there's only about 2 cars out there with all their panels in the right places. The rest of the field need some repairs done urgently.
So this is going to be interesting. The top 5 are all, or top 6 are all hard charges. So where if you're Andrew Dyson, where do you start the race? Do you start it early? Do you hold them back and wait till you almost get to the start finish line?
Personally, I'd wait until the start finish line to give as little drag opportunities to the cars behind me as possible. Yeah. Just try and catch them out a little bit that way so they don't get the chance to get that draft. Yeah. But that's probably why I'm not a race winner. So we'll find out how wrong I am when he launches the car off very early. But yeah, I think honestly leaving it a bit later is the better option here. Yeah. He is on some very old tyres. They've done 35 laps now. Dave Douglas, 20 laps for those tyres. Then Ruben Phelps is the next car down on fresh tyres in 7th with fresh tyres, but not such a fresh car. That car is...
Just so our spectators are up to date, they've probably picked up on it by now. The race start is on Andrew Dyson. He can start the race any time after the pace car has completely left the track. So he can go as soon as the pace car's off, or wait, as we said, till the green flag drops.
Yeah, that's That is, of course, a huge part of it as well. It's not on the green; it is on the leader in that respect, of course. And you've got to keep sort of position up to the checkered line as well. As the pace car drops in, Dyson holds the field back and drops it just at pit entry. He launches away, gets a nice restart there and chops up in front of Dave Douglas. Gets up to that high line, so he gets a nice turn in. We've got 2 and a bit laps remaining here tonight at Pocono. It is very much getting towards the end of the race. We've got 3, 4 wide, a little bit further back. This is where the racing's going to happen. And this is where we're most likely going to see a caution if we're going to... Again, as these guys hard charge through the field. Daniel Hedeshard trying his best to work his way up past a few cars on slightly cold tyres at the moment. They'll get up to temperature and be nice and sticky for him. That could give him a bit of a run as we get to the checkered flag. Aiden Schultz falling back into the grasp of Stevie up there side by side as they get down to turns 3 and 4. Schultz on the outside. Sorry, Williams on the outside. Schultz on the inside manages to get the corner there. Dyson has launched it away. He is in the lead of the race and got a good half-second lead at the moment. Dave Douglas can't seemingly do anything to catch the hard-charging Dyson at the moment.
So once we cross the start-finish line here, there won't be a caution thrown. Once these guys take the white flag, that's it. It's race to the end.
It is very much indeed, but we've still got half a lap to go till that happens. We've got 3 wide down the back straight. Hedeshide versus Jordan and Stove. They go 3 wide into turns 3 and 4. Turns 2 over the bridge, over the tunnel, just about make it through. And Dyson's coming up to take the white flag. We have got 1 lap remaining here at Pocono. Round 3 of the championship. Aiden Schultz gets a little bit loose off the corner. Dave Douglas trying to charge forwards. This battle is very much on for the race. Will Dyson be able to hold off a fast-charging Dave Douglas? He's managed to close the gap up at the front. Really, really pushing that car as that sun sets. Beautiful time of night to watch these cars. The paint jobs just come alive with this light. Dave Douglas really tried his best to get onto the back of Dyson, but Dyson looks to have it at the moment. Still got that nice little bit of a comfort zone over Douglas. Schultz just sitting back there, trying to will his car forward. Sitting in P3 at the moment, gets below the yellow line over the tunnel, manages to keep the car pointing straight. A little bit further back, Scott McClintock's managed to work his way up into 4th position. Nice run from him. Schultz trying to get down the inside of Dave Douglas for the run to the finish line. Andrew Dyson in the lead still. Who's going to get a better run off the corner? It is a drag race between Schultz and Douglas for 2nd place. Dyson's going to take the victory here tonight. Dave Douglas 2nd, Aiden Schultz 3rd. McClintock comes home in 4th position. Darren McKenzie works his way back up to 5th. Very nice recovery from McKenzie. Stevie Dubb in 6th. 7th for Devon Stove. Hedeshide in 8th. 9th for Kobe Jordan. And Ruben Phelps, despite leaving pretty much 90% of his car at the start of the race, comes home in P10 at the end of that race.
Yeah, that was a great finish for 2nd place. With Dyson kind of sort of had it wrapped up, and yeah, great hard charge from Schultz to try and get that 2nd spot.
I think a bit too much damage on Schultz's car, unfortunately, to give him that opportunity, but a strong P3. Still a podium finish is always a nice thing. Good run from Scott McClintock as well. 27 positions gained in that race. Very well done. Very clean car as well. I think other than Daiso, the cleanest car out there. Really just well managed race from him. This is exactly the finish Darren McKenzie needed. He's had a really rough start to the season. P5 is going to be useful for the old championship results. But probably the biggest gainer here tonight is going to be Stevie Dubb, I'd say. That's going to be good news to his championship hopes and bring him up a few positions. He was kind of sitting one of the highest positions there. So really nice for him. And, of course, great win for Andrew Dyson. That was just a dominant drive from him.
Definitely was, mate. It's great racing all around there tonight. Some really good hard charges.
And it's one of those races, and I say this a few times, you sort of look at the starting position and the finish position, Dicey lined up on pole, finished first. Dave, third, finished second. Schultze, fifth, finished third. It doesn't look like they've done much in this race, but there has been so much going on throughout this race. They have had to work hard for every moment throughout that race. Early on, we saw Dyson having that great battle with Foster and pretty much the rest of the front runners. And he really had to work hard to get that victory as well. It was not something that came easy for him. So let's run through the finishing order one more time. So it was Andrew Dyson for DPR taking it out victory, Dave Douglas in second, third place for Aidan Schultz with Scott McClintock in fourth, Darren McKenzie home in fifth, Stephen Williams in sixth, seventh for Devon Stove, Daniel Heddersheet eighth, ninth for Kobe Jordan, Ruben Phelps in 10th. We roll over the page. P11 was Patterson with Mankervis in 12th, 13th for Jai Schultz with Van Bullion in 14th, 15th for Justin Allen, and the final car on the lead lap, Adam Malone in 16th position. 16 cars on the lead lap. Great job there. Norman Clark, 1 lap down in P17, 18th for Brett Campbell, 2 laps down, 9 laps down for Tristan Cott, who sort of get involved in a big accident, and then Carl Kedler in 20th position. As we roll to the next stage, it's Adam Ariel 21st, 22nd Greg Spencer, Dylan Davies 23rd, Foster in 24th, Skurlock 25th, 26th for Pritchard, DeGraff 27th, 28th for Matt Patton, Benway in 29th, 30th for May. And as we go to the next set, it is Farewell in 31st, 32nd for Jaeger, Witcher 33rd, 34th for Nigel Patton, Wellman in 35th, the final finish of the evening.
What a race, eh? We really couldn't have asked for a better one. Unfortunately for some of the guys, but it's definitely going to make a big turn up for the championship points.
Yeah, that is, as I say, a lot of this big change to the championship results, and it's one of those things. Is early on in the season, the championships can swing one way or another so quickly. All it takes is one bad finish, and that is it. Your race is run, unfortunately, as we saw for the season. The championship leader Foster, that was a huge impact for him, and that's really going to hurt his championship out for the early stages. But there's still a long way to go. Of course, we've still got
32, 31.
31 races. Maths is a hard thing. I'm not a very big fan of it. 31 races to go. So there is still every opportunity and every chance to work your way back up to the top of the points standings, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. It's a long season, so we can see this top 10 changing quite a bit through the season. And as you said, Carl, it only takes 1 or 2 bad races, and you'll drop out of that top 10. But I mean to say, it's only a point difference from second down to 43rd. So as you go down, it's only a point difference.
Yeah, that's very true, and it's quite a few of these drivers, not full season entrants as well. We know a few of them are not running full seasons, so that can change things up, and all these little things can come into play. But we will grab up the top 3. We'll grab up the podium, I guess, and have a bit of a chat to them, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. We'll bring them all up together, and we'll start with third place, Aidan Schultz. Hey, Aidan, good race there tonight for you.
Yeah, Mark, good run. Good solid run in P3. Started out of P5. Got to be happy with that one. She was a bit up and down with a few incidents, but 2 starts this season, 2 podiums. Can't complain with that.
I thought I'd see you up here, right?
Yeah, we spoke about this last night, and I said don't throw me under the bus, but I had a couple of my teammates that weren't racing watching the broadcast, and with about 20 to go, they tell me you did, so thanks for that.
You're more than welcome.
Sounds like you've got the footy on in the background, mate.
Nah, I've got Pete in there doing some broadcasting or doing something in the background, so yeah, sorry about that. I can't really mute that, but yeah.
Nah, it's all good, mate. So, are you happy to see the tire restrictions back?
Yeah, it was good. There was a lot there. I tell you what, I was a little bit worried in that last caution because when me, Dave, and Andrew had sort of taken away at the front there, I didn't have another set left. So when we went caution with a couple to go and I saw Stevie Dubb there out of 4, I thought, oh no, here's my chance of a podium gone. And thought I had to put the elbows out and do a bit of racing there. And we got the job done. But I was a bit worried. But I did like it. It's good. It creates a bit of thinking, a bit of strategy. And it's not just who can put on a set of tyres at the right time. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
A really good run there. Obviously, we saw you get involved in. There were a few accidents tonight, unfortunately, and we saw you got a bit of damage on the car. Obviously, that affected you a little bit towards the end of the race, and that final run to the finish line. Do you feel like the damage is what possibly cost you a P2?
No, to be honest, I got to play fair. Daiso and Dave had it on me. There was no way I was going to challenge for that all night, even if I had a clean car. I was following Normie there earlier and sort of did the whole follow him up into the wall. I know that I had a little bit of an incident there with Devon Stove, which was unfortunate for him. It was just a tap on the rear, so I'll expect a penalty for that, but that was not intentional. But in saying that, no, I don't think if I had a clean car, I definitely wouldn't have had anything for Andy or Daiso, but maybe Dave, but I'm just happy to have a solid finish.
Absolute solid run from you tonight, and we saw you really working hard for that one. So congratulations on, as you say, a second podium for the season for the Weekend Warriors. I mean, that's 2 for 2. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's good, mate. Came into round number 1, got a P2 behind Ed. Obviously, he had an unfortunate night tonight, as did Skirley and some of the other top runners. So unfortunate for them. I missed last week because I decided to go and have a weekend down the Gold Coast. So missed round 2 and then come back out tonight and got another podium. So definitely happy with that.
So by the rules of the results, then next time round it's a win. So you've had a P2, P3, and now you've got to get a win. So I expect to see you winning the next race, Aidan.
Let's not put the cart in front of the horse there, mate. Let's just get to round 4 and see how we go.
Congratulations. The usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors.
Big shout out to the boys at Southern Stars Esports Racing. They were in my ear all night, and that was good. Obviously, a big shout out to Simshed Broadcasting, putting on the broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch that one back. Of course, you, Carl, and Mark for jumping in the booth. Mark, of course, you for putting on Weekend Warriors, the Australian Stock Car Championship. Really, really good league. Obviously, like a little bit too many cautions than what we'd probably expect tonight, but some nights that's just the way that the cookie crumbles. And of course, a massive shout out to Daiso and Davo for 1 or 2. They were class above pretty much all night, and they deserved to finish where they did.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aidan Schultz for Southern Star Racing. Congratulations again on P3.
No worries, guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
Next up, we'll head to the moving casting couch, one of the fastest couches in all of stock car racing. Dave Douglas, welcome back to a broadcast booth. It's about time we had you back up here in the top 3. It has been a rough season for you, but I'm so happy to be speaking to you again.
Yeah, mate, it's good to be back. It's been a while. It's been testing, mate. I'll tell you, I didn't want to run the race tonight. I was, after the week I've had, well, sorry, the year I've had so far, I was prepared to take a bit of a break, but then I saw it was Pocono, and I was like, oh, I can't give up on Pocono because it's one of my favourites as well. So thought I'd come here and see how we went. And yeah, the car actually feels really good around here.
Well, that's a good start. I mean, you know, it's, as you say, it's been a bit of a testing season for you. But luck is always there to change, and tonight it has had a bit of a turnaround. We saw you having some really good runs up there, keeping pretty much a clean car all night as well. And you obviously had some good pace in the car as well.
Yeah, yeah, always. For some reason, I don't know. Here in Indianapolis, sort of, I work these tracks very similar, and I tend to pace at both those tracks. So, but yeah, and that's what I thought too. You're talking about luck. Like, I can't change the luck by sitting out. Like, the only way you can change is you got to participate. Otherwise, nothing changes. So anyway, that's why we're here, and had a good run. I was happy to sit behind a few of them boys there early on. Shame that Edward and Skurlock and Ruben got taken out in that little battle there, because I think it would have been a fun battle to race out. I was all race, but that's what happens. And to be honest, I'm just glad I got through it.
Yeah, well, that's it. Surviving is the main thing sometimes. Obviously, strategy-wise, we saw you coming in, well, leaving it out there for quite a long time, and then coming in with 23 laps to go, of course. Sort of just really rolling the dice a little bit. Were you hoping for that late strategy? Was that the sort of the call rather than coming in that little bit early?
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't know. I was just making it up on the run, and then that last one, sort of when I did come in and Daiso stayed out, I thought I'm just going to come in just to see what happens because it was a 20 lap run, but then I was too much in the mind of the Gen 6. So back in the Gen 6 days, fresher tyres versus 6 lap old tyres are better, But in these cars, they don't seem to give that much of a difference. But I was tight on fuel, more like tighter than Daiso was as well. He had about 5 laps of fuel on me, I reckon. So I'll just top it up, take tyres, don't have to worry about anything. I'll just drive to the end then, and that's all that was at the end there.
No, it was a really good run. Obviously, that late caution gave you that little bit of a hope to possibly get that P1. Did you think you had a chance to get Daiso there at the end when that late caution came?
Nah, Daiso was too good here. As I said, I got pace, but then Daiso was on his own level there as well too. So I had tyre advantage, as you would have seen with that late pit stop, and he still was pulling like in that whole run. I think he put another nearly a second on me as well. So nah, I was happy to pull up P3 and just keep an eye on Aiden in the mirror. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Look, congratulations. Look, fantastic run tonight. It's great to see you back up at the top of the field where you belong. And always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth. It's always one of my favourite things to be interviewing Mr. Douglas. Congratulations on tonight. And the usual thing, a shout out and up to sponsors.
Yeah, good to be back, Carl, as you mentioned. But just a shout out to Daiso for towing me around for a few laps there, and then at the end there, basically jumping in his toe and being able to hold off Aiden. And just shout out to the Sim boys, mate, and those lads are pretty hectic boys over there. And shout out to Michael Ladder and also JP and Mark and all the gang over here for putting on this weekend league, which gives me something to do on a Saturday night. So I love it.
Always welcome. Thank you so much, Dave. Douglas, congratulations.
I just got a quick one. Good bounce back from Thursday night, mate.
Oh, mate, absolute shocker. And I'm glad you picked on it because, mate, I was having a dead set shocker. So good to be honest, Weekend Warriors been kind to me. So I had more confidence coming here. But yeah, Anscar, I don't know if we'll do this week. We'll see. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, hard luck on Thursday night and good luck, good race for tonight, mate. A really good result, bounce back.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mark, and as I said, thank you for all the work you do in this league, mate.
No worries, mate.
Thank you so much, Dave, and I'm sure we'll catch you back in a booth somewhere, sometime soon.
Cheers, guys.
And next up, we will head to the 041, the Orange Wonder, Mr. Andrew Dyson. Congratulations on a dominant victory tonight.
Thanks, man. I don't know about dominant. Had plenty of guys that had a lot of pace there. But, a few Akos probably took some of the real fast guys out. But the main thing is Dave Douglas avoided an accident. So how good's that?
It's great to see, isn't it? It's nice when Dave doesn't get taken out of a race. We saw early on, obviously, great battle up at the front in those early stages of the race between you, Scarlett Foster, Dave, Ruben, Aiden as well. All of you guys were having a fantastic battle. And we saw pretty early on as well, you're giving Ed Foster a little bit of a push along as well. Were you just trying to escape the rest of the pack with that? Or was it just a friendly little nudge just to remind Ed to go a little bit faster?
Maybe a bit of both. No, seriously, like these cars, man, like if you can pass so easily in a straight line with a bit of draft, but as soon as we get to the next straight, he's just going to go straight past me again if he wanted to. So there's no real point doing it. It's just more a case of sitting in behind and trying to go as fast as you can with all the cars around you. So I'm pretty sure he did the same thing to me a little while afterwards, and it worked out pretty good. We had a bit of a 6-car breakaway or maybe 7-car breakaway going for a while there. But yeah, as soon as you battle, you just slow everyone down, and with these cars, there's no real point. You just kind of just sit in and ride it out.
No, look, you sort of had it pretty much spot on there as well. You kept that car in contention all night as well, and as you say, sort of not running past and getting past constantly. It seemed to pay off for you. Nice clean car towards the end, and obviously not burning up too many tyres tonight as well.
Yeah, I had a couple sets left over there, but I didn't think we really needed them. Like The difference between everyone who was pitting around me when I didn't pit, or the difference between mine when I didn't, or when everyone else didn't pit, wasn't really that. Like the performance that is wasn't really that big. So it's just, and again, it's one of those things with these cars and this tire. We were just saying before, if it's the old car, I'd have been absolutely shot sitting out front there, with everyone else behind me taking tires. But that's not the way these cars are now, so you can get away with it.
Yeah, it's a very different beast to drive over the Gen 6 of old, of course. How are you finding the new Gen 7?
Oh man, it's pretty weird, dude. Like some tracks, it's deadly, and I do not enjoy it. Other tracks, like here tonight, it was really nice to drive. I think everyone, without even talking to them, would probably agree that it was really nice to drive. Whatever the setup was, I think it was straight baseline. By the looks of it, it was quite good.
Yeah, it was a straight baseline, mate. The other one, it just wasn't real friendly.
Yeah, I can imagine. So it's really good. That setup works out quite well. If we were running the other one, then by the sounds of what Mark's saying, it would have been deadly. But yeah, so like I said, I guess it depends on the setup. But the cars are pretty weird to drive, even on road courses, man. Like they're really strange. So I've been like hoping and praying for an update to road course stuff for this car, because at the moment it is terrible. One of the worst. It's worse than the Cup car at like Roval last year. That car was probably the worst road car or road circle car I've ever driven on a road track. But this one, like everywhere you go, it's just bizarre. So we'll see how we go with it.
Oh,
Well-
that fills me with great fear.
Yeah, it's not a nice thing to drive at all.
I was just going to say, Andrew, we got Kansas next week for the Honeybee 300. Then we're back into our annual Rumble at the Glen. So we've only got one more race, and then we're back onto a street circuit. Well, not a street circuit, but a race circuit for you.
Oh yeah, it sounds like there's 2 road courses in a week then for 2 different leagues. So that'll be interesting. So yeah, I'm doubly hoping now that they bring an update out or something.
Yeah, look, I from what you said, I'm very much hoping they do, because yeah, the Watkins Glen is one of my favourite tracks, so I hope to be competing there. So if the car is if you're struggling with the car, then I've got no hope at all.
Yeah, it's crazy difficult. It's really, really weird.
Obviously, as I say, like tonight, you just looked like you were on top of it all the way through. Pocono, particular favourite track of yours?
Well, I used to think so. Last year when we were coming into this round for Anne's car, I was like, yeah, this would be a good one, and we're all doing quite well. And then qualifying did not go to plan, and then I think I wrecked Ed in the first race, and that was terrible. And then after that, it was just pretty much a disaster. But yeah, I enjoy it. It's a fun little track. It's super different to everything else when it comes to the circle races, so I like it.
Well, you definitely tamed the tricky triangle tonight. Congratulations on the win. Always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth, and especially when you're getting a win like that. Great drive. The usual thing, though, of shout out and love to sponsors.
Shout out to Mark and all the guys behind the scenes at Weekend Warriors for putting it on. We appreciate it. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and JP Simshed and all the supporters behind that. Shout out to Doug, didn't crash tonight, or didn't get wrecked tonight. Shout out to Aiden, good job. And it was just unlucky to see a few of those real fast guys get taken out in one of those wrecks that we had about halfway along, because that would have been a really interesting race. It was shaping up to be really interesting as we were going along there. But yeah, shout out to Simrings.com, South Ellison Hoist, Max Mechanical, MP Designs. And I guess I'll leave it at that, and fingers crossed for next week.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon. I'm sure we'll catch you back in a broadcast booth relatively shortly. Thank you so much, Andrew Dyson, DPR, winner of tonight's race here at Pocono for the Tricky Triangle 300.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Carl, I'm just going to do a quick shout out myself to a couple of our sponsors. Thanks to Custom Paints and Diecast for being the major sponsor of the Australian Stock Car Championship. Track Racer, of course, they'll be stepping up and bringing us the Anzac Cup this year. And License Me, a small family company on the New South Wales Victorian border. If you need a license for anything from a forklift to a heavy truck, excavator, they're the people to call. And of course, lastly but least of all, JP and Simshed Broadcasting for the great great cameras and great broadcasting and
Track cams for gourmet.
that's the one track. You can tell I'm not used to being up here, and I might see if JP will jump up in the mic for a minute. Mate, we've got some great racing coming up in the next couple of weeks. Of course, we're back here again next week for us. Then the following week on the 21st and 22nd, we have some great racing starting. JP?
Yeah, copy that. Look, it's been a long time coming, but the Real Sim Racing Australia will be hitting the tracks on the 21st and 22nd of March. And yes, our very first race back is going to be at Winton. So we're going to be doing 160 kilometres around Winton, 54 laps for both the Real Sim Racing Australia Super 2 E Series. And then on the Tuesday night, the Goodyear Auto Care Warana Super Series. So should be some fantastic racing on both those nights with the V8s.
I know myself. I'm looking forward to being at Winton. I'll jump in and be the Larko of that broadcast. So yeah, definitely some good racing coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. Carl, anyone? We hope to see you back on the track next week. If everything's going to plan, I think Zach and Matt is back next week. But I can't be 100% sure. We're just waiting to hear back from them. So if you're on the track or up here, mate, we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, always a pleasure, and thank you very much for having me. Very much, always nice to come up here, and yeah, thank you very much for having me. And hopefully, I can click my heels 3 times and make it to Kansas next week for the track. But if not, I will hope maybe be up here in the booth for commentary. But I do hope to at least be out at Watkins Glen because, as I say, that's one of my favourite tracks. So hopefully, I might get a bit of a run at the Glen.
Mate, I'll do you a deal. If we're short next week, you call that, come up and call it. I'll make sure I'm up here for Watkins Glen and I'll let you have a race.
You've got yourself a deal there, Mark. Thank you so much. And as I say, thank you so much to JP. And a big thank you to all the viewers as well. You make this so we can keep on going. But I think that's about it for tonight, isn't it, boys?
Yeah, that's it from me. I don't know if JP's got anything. No, well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. I know we're not the best commentary team, but we try and keep it lively. I'm Mark Johansson, and the other person here is
Mr. Carl Wilkinson with E, and from both of us, and of course, JP, we wish you a fantastic night, and we will see you again next week.